Good morning, afternoon, evening, whatever it may be. This is The Upgrade, and you are back again this week with myself, Gary Muttley, and the lovely and talented Mr.
Len Carmichael from Landmine Studios, and thank you all for being with us once again.
Thanks again for all the wonderful support, because we have been getting some messages that you guys have really been enjoying the last couple of shows, and that's good, because it would kind of suck if you thought they sucked.
I don't even care if you think they suck. Just keep listening anyway.
You know.
I'm not that hard to please, man.
I guess you're right.
Just click the like button. Just go click the like button. That's all.
You don't like it? Too
bad.
And
subscribe. Like and subscribe.
So my question is, how long does someone have to play the video for it to count, say on YouTube?
So we would like to welcome our guest, Mr. Marty Shea from Philadelphia.
Oh, hi.
And to answer your question, I don't know. That would be a question for your neighbor, Sonny. Sonny would probably be able to tell us exactly how long someone needs to watch a video.
You know what? He probably knows the exact to the millisecond.
Yeah.
I don't doubt that. But he was playing with suction cups earlier. He was trying to mount some sort of bike rack contraptions at the top of his car. Saw him out there earlier working.
So how close do you live to that young man?
All right, so I am on the corner.
Don't tell what the street name is.
Come on, man. I was bored yesterday. I'm on one corner. He is cat a corner to across the street from the end of my block.
Okay.
So he's like a block and across the street away.
That's not bad. That's not bad at all.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is, if I come down to Sonny's house, I could egg your house from his house.
How's your curveball wider?
I got a great one, bro.
100 feet? Okay, we'll see. You know, I think it's doable. I'm not counting you out, Len. Yeah, there's a lot of things you
these guns?
You can do that others can. Yes, I'm saying, man.
So me and Gary, we were talking before you jumped on about how working from home / just kind of being stuck in the house over the last couple months is really starting to wear on us in general. Like,
I'm feeling that, man.
Just doing stupid stuff that you would never screw up on a normal basis, but you know, right now it's just it's not even controllable how many things just pass right through my brain, and I can't even stop it.
Like I said, my shit has been bad, but people that I know that are usually way more on point than me, I won't mention any names, but we discussed it earlier, have been bad also, and it's just crazy to see how it's starting to affect everybody. Like, it's really starting to wear everybody down bad.
I haven't gotten to the point where I'm lashing out at people. I'm not at that point. I'm just, and I'm not going to even say that I'm depressed, because I don't want to assume some mental position that isn't actually accurate, because there are people who truly suffer from depression. I don't.
I think you can be depressed without having the clinical diagnosis of depression. I think being depressed is an emotional state that you either are in or you're not in, you know, without any sort of clinical diagnosis. And who would blame anybody for being a little depressed right now? I mean, you can't do all the shit you want to do. The shit that you have to do is a pain in the ass. And what else is left? Netflix?
I've reached the end of Netflix. So.
I was gonna say, what do you win when you complete Netflix? Do you get an achievement?
I'm gonna tell you right now, I am watching Love. Wait, what is it called? Love on the Spectrum, and it is the biggest train wreck that I cannot stop watching.
I don't even know what that is.
Exactly. It's like a show about
90 Day Fiance. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically at that point, but it's young people, I think they're in Australia, who are on the autism spectrum, and they're like trying to figure their way through like finding relationships. And somebody else posted about it, and I was just like, I need to see this. I need to see what this is about. And I'm watching it, and like I'm maybe 3 or 4 episodes in, and every time I start an episode, I'm like, I should probably not start this episode, but I started anyway. So like the people on it are super nice, and like I'm watching, and I like legitimately feel bad that they're struggling so hard at something that seems so normal to me.
Right.
But I mean, I get that that's kind of the premise of the show at the same time. But I also feel like I've reached the end of the internet, for that matter,
right,
because I've ended up watching this show.
Well, let's spin off of that for a second, and can we do like an idiocracy dating show?
I mean, isn't that what Tinder already is? I mean, haven't we already reached that point?
Yeah, I mean, but we could just take it next level and like put some MAGA people together.
Love in a Red State. That's the title.
Oh God, yo, did you guys see that? I sent
back. Have him host that shit, man. Count that money.
Chuck Woolery will definitely be down for that.
I know I sent it to you, Gary, but I may not have sent it to you, Marty. The picture of the suggested United States of Canada.
Oh yeah,
and I am
great.
I am 100% on board with this idea.
I'm all for
Hold
it.
on, Marty. If I send you a picture on Facebook, will you get it?
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna forward it to you right now, just so that you have the full confidence of what we're talking about, so you can just take a quick look, just a quick little peep at this, because I'm telling you right now, if somebody were able to pull this off, I would not argue.
I'm 100% down. And then you add the hockey in there, and oh yeah, I mean, I am.
You know what? Yeah, man. I mean,
let them have Jesus Land.
Yeah,
I don't need it. I don't need any of those
They
things.
can take it, turn it into the fucking Handmaid's Tale for all I care.
yeah, you know what? I'm surprised Minnesota makes the cut. Looking at this,
I think it's because you can't. It's so attached in between. Like, I would be fine with kicking both Minnesota and Wisconsin out of this. I would.
Yeah.
But then it would be really tough to have Illinois involved. So you kind of have to have you have to have 2 of them to really make this connect. So fine, they can stay, but you know what? The rest of these states can go.
Maybe Minnesota's in there as a nod to Jesse.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I mean, here's the thing. Minnesota gave us Prince. So for that reason alone, United States of Canada.
All right.
I was going to because otherwise it's kind of a very snowy, like Alabama in a lot of ways, in the more rural parts. But we're Prince, so I guess we'll let it slide.
Oh man. But
Let's put it that way, sure.
Looking at this map, tell me that Alaska wouldn't get annexed in like a week.
Well, annex is part of Russia by Thursday. Come on. I mean, here's the thing. Will we pull that shit where we, like, even though, like, we're not at war with you or you're not part of our country, we still have a gigantic military base there anyway for no good reason?
Probably. I mean, that's the way it works.
Yeah.
But then again, we would be part of Canada, and I don't think Canada does that in the way that we do.
No.
So Jesus Land would keep those like random installations in places and just continue to rack up bad press and the bad will of the people.
Yeah, the Germans be looking at Ramstein Air Force Base like some sort of wild trailer park. Like, we don't go anywhere near there anymore.
Oh, man.
I think my only argument with this entire map is that we do lose Vegas.
Yeah.
Hashtag RebuildingC would take a greater precedence, and that is much friendlier on your gas tank, and you would not have to spend money on a hotel room either.
True.
Well, I mean, usually if I go to AC, I spend the money on the hotel room just because. I mean,
right.
You know, why not? But
Sure.
Have you been to Vegas? Because that's like important. Because I've been to Vegas like 16 times at this point.
Really?
Yeah. I don't even gamble really, but there's just so much random.
I was going to ask you, are you a gambling type of guy?
No, I like my money. I'm not trying to give my money away. I don't understand. Like, I don't personally understand gambling on that level. Like, if I go, I'm like, hey, I got $200 for the week. I would spend $200 on absolutely nothing if I'm at my house. So if I'm in Vegas and I spend $200 on gambling, it's really not impacting anything.
Right.
But like these people who go down and they're like, I lost $40,000 in an hour.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, bro, I don't even have $40,000 to shake a stick at. Like,
Exactly.
what are we doing here?
I haven't gambled in a very long time, and I haven't been to Atlantic City in many, many years. I mean, the last time I gambled in Atlantic City was probably a good 21 years ago, 22 years ago.
Some of our listeners weren't even born yet.
Yeah. And that was, I went with my old job when I used to work for Sony, because we went, there was a warehouse and pressing plant down in South Jersey. And we went to Atlantic City the night before, and I sat at the blackjack table with my boss. And at one point I was up like $150, and he's just looking at me like, what the fuck? How did you do this? Because he was
Like,
already
I
out
don't even know.
And, I guess at that point I was playing a lot of like blackjack on the computer or some shit.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of knew like the way you're supposed to play blackjack, like you hit on this or you stay on this. And like every now and again I would totally break one of those rules and I would always win.
Right.
And he's just looking at me like, how did you do that? And I'm like, I don't know. And then
got lucky, babe. I got lucky.
I walked out of there up like $100-something, I think.
Yeah, that's my problem.
Astounded.
That is my problem 100% when I do go, is that I'll start gambling and I'll go up like $150. I'm like, cashing out. I'm not even chancing this. I've already doubled my money. Like, I showed up with 200. I got an extra 200. There's no way I'm winning any bigger than this. Doubled my money. Peace.
Right.
Yeah. No, I finally walked away. I was up $100-something, and he's like, You're done? I'm like, yeah, I'm done. I'm not going to sit here and piss the rest of it away. I'm actually up a little something. Like, I'm not gonna blow it.
Yeah, fuck that.
I only walked away from a casino in AC with more money than I went in with one time, and it was the first time I ever gambled in a casino. And I felt like I just sat down at a $60 minimum buy-in poker table, $1, $2. Ended up making like an extra $100, went home. Every other time I lost, like, I'd start with 60 and ended up just walking out with nothing, and just like call it a day there. But yeah. I don't know what it is. I have some sort of extreme moderation switch in me that for certain things, it just like, once I get to that point, my brain just goes, oh, you done now. Go have pizza, like, or something. Like,
right.
I don't know. Just I don't know if it's like a self-preservation thing, but
yeah, it's
out, I guess. I with a great game, but I never really got into it, nor did I have the resources to get into it to a high level.
It's tied in with like the addict thing, because like I can't, like, dudes get addicted to all kinds of shit, and like I can't, and like even down like gambling, it's like I don't know, I just get up and walk away.
For me, it's purely fear-based, because I know that if I spend all my money at the table, I'm going to hate myself the next day. And I don't need any extra additional hate in this hate machine called my brain. I
agree.
I will never let myself. I could have gone and lost $200, and if I took an extra $20 out, that $20 would nag at me for a whole year at least. Like, I could have bought that with that $20, but I'm a dumbass, and I had to take the $20 out and throw it away on the blackjack table or whatever. Like, whatever the case would be, if I go beyond what I've already determined is the okay spot to have like utilized my money, I'm gonna hate myself. So nah, I'm good. And I for me, it's the same no matter what. Like, if I'm like looking at buying an amp or a guitar, and I set a price in my mind, if I pay even $1 more than that, I regret that purchase forever. And I'm like, I should have bargained way harder, or you know, or
Right.
if I sell something and like I'm like, yo, I know I should have asked that guy for $100 more than I did, and then I feel bad because I'm like, yo, you beat yourself out of money, and I just don't like sitting around with regret like that.
Now, do you get the reverse regret, where if you had done X, Y, and Z, I would have, you know, it would have been a windfall of some sort? I think you know where I'm going with this.
So, fuck you. All right, fuck you. So listeners, I used to work in financial research, and my boss at the time, the whole office was buzzing about Bitcoin, and my boss is connected with some guys that are involved with the creation of it, and I got offered to buy as much Bitcoin as I wanted at 10 cents. 10 cents. Because it was just getting started. And I was just like, yo, they're going to shut this down. And like that was like our whole conversation. And, you know, if I had just put $500 in on this, I wouldn't be talking to you two right now.
If you put $30 into it, you wouldn't be talking to us right now.
I'm just saying, like, I would be somewhere on an island with a Mai Tai and my feet up.
The end of trading places.
Yelling at the guy delivering the drinks that there's no sand on there's no salt on the rim. You know what I mean? Like the guy, like Milton. I'd be Milton on the fucking island because that's how I would have to live at that point because I would have that much money. So yes, there are moments in my life where I look back and I go, I fucked up, but that was a calculated decision. I do beat myself up over it, but not that hard anymore. So yes,
I rented Bitcoin for like 10 years, but then it became worth $11,000 per coin. And I was like,
right.
Someone's not laughing.
I failed.
I guess we all did.
So yeah, I mean, I had the in before they even started truly mining for it.
Now that's some shit.
I'm dumb. That's what it comes down to. Is you know, I make some bad calls occasionally because I just
seeing the Rolling Stones right before they recorded and being like, you know what? I'm not feeling the vibe anymore, guys. I don't think I
I have a friend who actually quit a band that got to be really, really big because he just wasn't feeling the direction of it, and then they exploded. And like, if they played, let's call it like This Is Hardcore, the day would sell out. And you know, they've toured the whole entire world. And he lives in my town, and I guarantee you he doesn't look back and go, oh, like that was the worst decision ever. But if it was me, I'd be like, man, I fucked up. I could have done all this shit that they did, and I quit. So the places I've been, the surprise of me going to Vegas like 16 times, the 3 places that are not like regular drive to, like I don't count going to Pennsylvania or New York City like as a getaway or a vacation. Like
right.
In fact, I don't ever want to go to Pennsylvania again. I've only been across the border 4 times since March, and you know, it's 4 miles from my house, and
I haven't crossed South Street more than 5 times since March. Okay, I've been to my family's house in the 20 minutes away in Delaware County like 4 or 5 times. That's it.
So I've been to Baltimore twice to pick up 2 different amps. But it wasn't even Baltimore. It was like the outskirts of Baltimore, like out by 670 or 6 whatever the number is, 695. So it's like still 12 miles outside of the city.
Somewhere in the yeah.
But it's, you know, I live 200 miles from the city, so 12 miles is pretty much Baltimore. Anyway, so I've been there to pick up twice to the same guy's house to pick up amps. And then I played some jerked off show out in Pittsburgh that I probably shouldn't have played, but I played it, whatever. It was fun at the time, but looking back, it was probably dumb.
No chili dogs required.
No chili dogs required. And then otherwise, I did go and get a cheesesteak with Gary like 2 weeks ago or a weekend.
I was going to say, I'll cross the border for that fucking cheesesteak.
So we went to Steve's Princess Steaks over and got some banging steaks. And
the one up in Langhorne? That's pretty close.
Yeah,
to
the one in Langhorne. Yeah, it's like 15, 20 minutes from my house. So that's where we went. And, we got some banging cheesesteaks. And otherwise, I stay my ass in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Specifically in my town. I don't even go out of my town, really. I got nowhere to be, nothing to do. And while it is wearing on me, I'd rather do that than be dead or cause someone else to be dead.
Yeah, that's it. I don't want to accidentally murk someone's grandma because I wanted a fucking margarita. Like, that's just like, come on.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
grandma's dead, but I got to go to a hardcore show, so it's cool,
right?
So, did you guys see that these idiots are over in Sturgis doing this fucking motorcycle rally?
Yeah,
I have a little bit of relish for this for the hot dog too, but the Sturgis rally. And
still, nobody showed up to see Trapped.
Yes, thank you. Someone else saw that on Metal Injection. Yes,
just had to throw that in there.
Wait, I didn't realize that Trapped was playing this, but no, like, that literally was empty.
Oh, there were a whole bunch of bands, and I saw some pictures, and supposedly Trapped posted their own pictures later that showed a lot more people, which is kind of suspect. But there were some pictures.
Like Trump's like rally pictures where you get the right angle and it looks like there's people, but there was
maybe.
like 5.
So the best way I could internalize what was going on in that picture. And I think we've all been in this scenario at one point in our lives where we're playing a show and we see there's like 100 people in the room and like 5 people are paying attention. And the other 95 people are just catching up with people they haven't seen or like scratching their nuts or like buying a t-shirt or whatever. That was that Trap show. Like, I saw that picture and I had flashbacks to shows I myself have played.
I still don't understand how there are people that will go see Smash Mouth in 2020. That's my confusion. I mean, but then people went to see Great White, so I don't know.
I think it might be the Shrek effect. If I were to guess anything, it's the fact that generations of children are hearing Shrek and by virtue of that are getting introduced to the rocket that was known as Smash Mouth in the late 90s to early 2000s. And
I just don't understand. I like ska and ska-esque music, like ska light. Like I like a little bit of everything, but Smash Mouth is legitimately on my list. I mean, they're basically Nickelback for ska.
Right. So I was in 6th grade. I thought Walking on the Sun was one of the greatest songs I'd ever heard in my life. I also had horrible taste when I was in 6th grade. I don't know if they had anything in common or not. I don't know. But would you call them ska? Like I
know they used to tour with ska bands.
It sounds like if Vince Vaughn was a pro wrestler, that would be his entrance music. Just walking, look like he hasn't slept in 4 days.
I don't know. I just know that they toured a lot in the late 90s with ska bands. So I just equate them with
the ska adjacent.
Yes. It's like,
see, I don't see, to me, I just throw them in that category of garbage, like them and Sugar Ray.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Like that just, and Sugar Ray was weird because Sugar Ray had,
What about that band Lit? Do you throw them in there too?
Yeah, they could go in there. It's just that generic, like, you can't call it rock. Like, I don't even know what you would call it, but it's just that
pure garbage bin music.
It was like slow butt rock. It was like butt rock that hadn't found its sound yet. It was just
it's just like there's nothing to it. It's like there's no substance to it at all.
How do you guys classify Sublime? Because for me, Sublime is absolutely unlistenable.
I think their fan base as a whole, when working homogenously, like say at a concert or something, is absolutely unbearable. I think they have some tunes though, and as a bass player, game recognizes game. Like that dude has some lines that I taught myself because I thought they were sick.
Okay. Yeah, I can't do it.
I mean, they just, I'm not a ska guy, first of all, but they never really did anything for me. Like, I don't hate them, and I certainly wouldn't throw them in the same category as, like, Sugar Ray or Smash Mouth.
See, I do put them right in that same category. Yeah, because I base it on your fan base, basically. So it's the same fucking people.
That's a dangerous game to play, though.
You can't really categorize some of the, because then some of these hardcore bands are just going to get fucked because so many hard-ons like them.
Let's run them down.
Metal bands, hardcore bands, like,
I mean, I went to a Rush show. I mean, I wouldn't want to be in a group photo with anybody else at that concert, aside from myself. They're a phenomenal band. Like,
dude,
I can't do the fan base to the fan base.
Like, yeah, but, I saw Rush once, but, like, I'm a big fan of, like, a lot of, like, more progressive rock shit. Like, I'm a big fan of, like, Dream Theater and, like, Queensryche and shit like that. And, like, some of that stuff brings out some serious music nerds. And, like, I'm not nearly at that level. I'm not a Berkeley level bass player, but I just like the music.
Right,
dude. I'm not even like a video game level guitar player, so whatever. Like, all these current kids are so much better at, like, just playing insane music. So I would never even think to be like at a Berkeley level. Instrumentation.
But some of those guys that go to those shows are serious nerds. Just like a Rush show, just like a Dream Theater show. Like, some of them are real serious nerds, and then it gets worse because now Primus is turned into a jam band, so they get that whole...
I can't fuck with that band. I never could fuck with that band. I get it that people who are bass players absolutely love that band because Les Claypool is a great bass player, but fuck, it's unlistenable.
I can't. No, I've never voluntarily put on Primus.
I am a fan.
Yeah.
But I lost a lot of interest once they started turning into a jam band because, like, okay, you want to fuck around a little bit, that's cool, but, like, I don't want every song to turn into, like, a 10-minute fucking jam. I'm not a jam band guy, never been a jam band guy, and Len, we talked about it before. I went to see U2 at Yankee Stadium because Primus is opening up.
Right.
I was like, I want to see Primus in Yankee Stadium. But I'm not with the jam band shit, and that just doesn't interest me at all.
So you guys want to hear one of the worst fucking shows I ever went to?
Yes.
What's that?
So I'll take you back. It was 1998, like February, March-ish time, and my ex-girlfriend convinced me that it would be a great fucking idea to go see the Snowcore tour, and Primus was headlining, Blink-182, the Aquabats, and the Long Beach Dub All-Stars were playing, which is Sublime without Sublime. So I legitimately sat through 4 bands I hate, and it was the most painful experience. Like, Blink-182 is fucking dog shit. The Aquabats have one song I like, and I've already determined 30 seconds ago that Sublime can kiss my entire ass, including the hole. So, and then Primus is just not my thing. It was legitimately one of the most painful experiences of my entire life. So, that being said, don't ever do that to yourself. If you see something coming up and somebody tries to convince you that it's going to be fun, it's not going to be fun. You're going to hate yourself.
Well, the way things are going, I don't think I'll have to worry about that for about a year and a half, 2 years. So
don't be such a naysayer, Marty. Come on.
I am being realistic. No one wants to stay the fuck inside. Everyone thinks Rita's goddamn water race is more fucking important than, the kids dying in their spelling class. Like, what the fuck?
Bro. Don't you know that when the election happens, all this is just going to go away? This is a Democratic hoax just being perpetrated to try and get him out of here. So
don't worry about the fact that the entire world is in on it.
Yeah. Like total collusion.
Everyone's fucking with us. Everybody.
Total collusion. It's fine.
I'm just I'm at that point now where I've watched a lot of Star Trek again during this quarantine. And it just feels like one of those flashback episodes before the crew beams down by accident because they didn't realize that it was Earth in the early 21st century.
They're like, oh, nope, got to get out of here.
Oh, shit. Wrong time. Got to go.
Yep.
Oh, my God.
Just ridiculous.
Yeah.
The whole thing is ridiculous. Marty, what's the worst show you ever been to?
Worst show? I sat through Lordy to see Typo Negative, and they were goddamn dreadful. Do you remember that band?
I
Yes.
do. All right, so I know of the band Lordy. I've never once laid an ear to it, not even 10 seconds of it. So, you're way further down the hole than I am.
Yeah.
But yes, I've heard of the band Lordy.
So here's my 3-second pitch on Lordy. Guar, but Christian.
No.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm not saying aliens.
They're Christian? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, Lordy was a Christian metal version of that was basically the Guar gimmick, just
I
redone.
thought they were just on some weird, halfway Viking bullshit.
No, they were Sci-Fi Striper, man. It was crazy. I watched them play the truck, and I booed them from the balcony. It was actually one of the most fun I've ever had. Absolutely openly just heckling a musical act, and I've never done that before.
Marty, I got to tell you, though, Gary is a Striper fan.
Hey, you know what? Striper has some riffs. I'm not going to hold it against them.
There you go. Listen,
Riffs.
I said it before. I don't care. I'm a diehard atheist, but I'll fuck with Striper.
Yeah.
I don't care.
See, the only
And if
Christian
that
band
makes me a fence walker, then so be it. God damn it.
for me, the main Christian band that I got into was Zayo.
Yeah.
But I mean, those records. Yeah, it almost doesn't even matter what the fuck I was singing at
those
the
records
point.
are fucking hard.
Yeah, exactly. Throw a table through the window hard at points.
Mm-hmm.
So, otherwise, if you tell me you're Christian, I'm usually going the other way, just because it's just kind of like the Satan thing. I can listen to it and throw it away just as you're telling me a story.
Right.
I don't need to buy into what you're talking about, but usually when it's Christian based, it's just not interesting either. So you got to bring something interesting to the table musically for me to get past that as an issue.
Here's the thing: if I listen to Christian music, I listen to gospel because it just sounds great.
Well, I mean, usually they have great singers and also instrumentation.
That's what I'm saying. If I'm listening to that music, it's for the instrumentation because it sounds amazing. The tones are great. Church drums to me are the best mixed drums on earth. They just the cymbals have a shimmer to them. The toms are all crystal clear. I don't know what it is, but whatever that is,
we can take control.
We
can actually play.
We were just talking about this recently that when it comes to gospel stuff, those rhythm sections got it going on.
They're insane, dude.
Yep.
Oh man, the bass drums on some of that shit is fire. And
the drummers are always super creative. Like stay in the pocket, but blow your ass out with just some of the craziest rolls and cymbal work. It's insane. And I'm not going to say that they're wasting it, because clearly they're playing to a lot more people weekly than I've played to in my entire fucking life.
They're getting some money.
Right. So they're not wasting it. But I think about it and I'm like, yo, you could be like just... So the drummer from Sworn Enemy, Tay, is a drummer who used to be a church drummer. And that's the reason he's so goddamn good.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that makes sense. I didn't know that, but that makes perfect sense.
Shout out to Tay.
Yeah.
So.
And he does all of that shit on a small kit too.
Yeah, he's not one of these dudes
with like. He's not one of these dudes that has like, 20 cymbals and like 5 toms and all that shit. Like he's ripping it on like a small ass kit.
Regular size kit, but makes it sound huge.
Yeah. There's a couple shows we played with him. I was amazed. That was the first time I watched him play really in person, like close up like that, and I was blown away by how good he is.
Go back and watch the last time the time they played This Is Hardcore. I think Sonny might have a video of him playing the drums, or if not, there might be a drum cam, and if not, at least when he flashes over to him playing, like with all his whip pans and bullshit. It's crazy to watch him play because he's so tight.
Now, does he have that one hi-hat that has the holes in it that like every church drummer has? It like once you see that particular hi-hat, you're like, all right, I'm about to see some shit. I'm just gonna watch.
I don't know if he has. If he does have them, he doesn't bring them to the show.
Oh man. Oh boy, that's funny. But yeah, those church people, they can rip.
Yeah.
But you were talking about worst show. Like I have to really think about it. But like, I've seen some pretty bad shows. But please don't make me sit through Disturbed ever again.
See, I don't think I've ever sat through Disturbed.
Oh.
But I think I might try to kill myself with the seat if I did. Like, I would try to get my head stuck in the seat and just like somebody else keep kicking it until I just pass, because that would just I wouldn't be able to make it. Wouldn't make it.
I went years ago. It was the first Rockstar Mayhem Festival.
Okay.
And they had bands outside. They had 2 stages outside in the parking lot. This was at I think it was at the Nassau Coliseum on Long Island. And then later on in the day, they moved inside, and they had the full stage inside.
Mm-hmm.
But there were no assigned seats. It was all just open. You could sit anywhere in the arena that you wanted to.
Okay, so I'm looking this up. I got the fucking flyer up for this thing, and it's just for everybody else to know. It's Slipknot, Disturbed, Dragon Force, Mastodon, Under Oath, Machine Head, Walls of Jericho, The Red Chord, Suicide Silence, Five Finger Death Punch, 36 Crazy Fists, Airborne, and Black Tide. So a mix of stuff I would listen to and wouldn't listen to, but go on and finish your story.
I didn't even bother with some of that early stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
well, I mean, you would know better.
We were just hanging out because I went with Walter, and we met up with a couple other people. And what year was that? You have the flyer up? What year was that?
08.
08?
Yep.
Okay. I'm trying to pull it up myself. I know we watched the end of Suicide Silence, and then watched Machine Head, and then we went inside. I don't remember Walls of Jericho even playing, but maybe we missed them.
They were probably on a side stage.
Yeah, the only ones that were on the side stage, like I said, that we watched were Suicide Silence, and then on the other stage, Machine Head. And then we went inside and watched Mastodon and Dragon Force, and we had good seats. We didn't want to lose the seats.
Right.
So we had to sit through Disturbed.
And it was literally just it was like literally
Torture.
shit cakes in your ears.
Pure torture. Absolute torture. Oh, it was horrible. I don't.
It's painful when like people ask you, "Oh, so what do you listen to?" And you tell them like, you know, I listen to metal and I listen to hip hop and I listen to this. And they're like, "Oh, metal, like Disturbed," and you're like, "No, absolutely not like that.
Whoa.
Anything but that."
Whoa, Len. What kind of music is your band? Oh, it's a hardcore band. Oh, like Limp Bizkit?
Oh, like System of a Down?
Like, I'm gonna fucking backhand you. I am just gonna take the back of my hand and run it across your face quickly.
Yeah, it's just
like,
painful, man.
No.
Yeah.
Not
Absolutely
like Limp Bizkit. Not anything like Limp Bizkit. No.
Oh, so you guys sound like Linkin Park, though, right? No.
Oh, a hardcore band? You mean like Five Finger Death Punch? No. Definitely not.
Absolutely not.
Nothing like Five Finger Death Punch. But you know, that's the problem, because for hardcore specifically, like if you don't know, there's like no,
Right.
you know, there's no reference.
No.
Like try explaining the Bad Brains to somebody that doesn't know what hardcore is.
You can't.
All right.
No.
Try explaining the Cro-Mags, and it's just what?
Right.
No, you can't. They just have no idea. There's just no frame of reference. That's why, like, talking about Billy Club, like, I don't know. The oddest thing that people have said is that some people compare us somehow to System of a Down.
And
Just because of some off-time stuff. And, like, I hate System of a Down.
And you guys sound nothing like System of a Down. I don't, like... maybe it's me, because like I listen to a lot of different stuff and like I can like tell the difference.
Right.
But I don't understand how someone could hear you guys specifically and go, "Oh, System of a Down." I just sonically, I don't even see anything close.
Yeah, I can't even put. I can't put. I
I
can't even put a word to it. I'm struggling to find a word.
I don't get it either. Whatever, I'd rather stick ice picks in my ears than ever listen to System of a Down. But
So the other day I did sit through System of a Down, like a sort of System of a Down, because Taylor Gordon did a playthrough, and she is an amazing drummer, and I had a great laugh watching her laughing at the drum parts in the song, because she couldn't believe how simple they were. Like, you could literally see it on her face, like she's laughing, and then she gets to the end and she starts hitting that hi-hat with the holes in it and doing rolls off of that are not even in the song, and I'm like, yo, they should hire her, because she's a much better drummer than the drummer in the goddamn band.
Did you see? I don't know if you picked on that. So I believe it's the verse part. It is in.
See, I don't know the song really well.
So it's either in 7/8 or 11/8, right?
Okay.
And she was throwing in a rest at the very last snare hit, like nothing, and just continuing. And that was the thing that really, it was like, it wasn't what she played, it was like what she chose not to play, and still stayed right on top of the beat. I was like, oh shit, like because she added a groove to the song by eliminating one snare hit.
Right.
And that was where I was like, that's when I really started honing in on what she was doing.
that actually sounds interesting.
Yeah, I'll have to link you to it, because I mean, I am not by any stretch of the imagination a System of a Down fan. In fact, I do not like them at all.
I don't either. Surprisingly, I am the only member of Billy Club that does not like them. The other guys dig them, and like other people that I know dig them, and plenty of them have been like, yo, you got to give it another chance.
Nope, no more chances.
And I'm like, no.
Nope.
Because I don't even like the music, but that fucking singer needs to be fucking stomped out.
Weird scenarios where the backup vocalist is actually technically a better vocalist with a wider range than the lead vocalist himself or herself.
That doesn't take much.
It doesn't, but it's just weird. Like, they had all the pieces. Like, I don't know if it was for the harmonies, like an Alice in Chains type deal, where they had the two singers for like the harmony parts or whatever. But like, they could have gotten people better than Serge probably to do that. I don't, Yeah. You must have been the homie or something like that, because other than that, I don't get it. But I like their first record. I won't front. I like their first record a lot still. Like, I think there's some stuff on the first record that still holds up. I would say the more mainstream attention they got, the more they leaned into the stuff that mainstream critics liked, and it kind of watered down their sound. Whereas before, they were kind of just like Rage Against the Machine, like thematically, lyrically, theme-wise, but in like drop C instead of drop D.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. Can't do it. But
I can't
but
do
Taylor
it.
Gordon, she is a wonderful drummer with just chops out the ass, and it made the song interesting. And that's the more important piece. That's the more important piece here. Because I know I'm not going to be able to convince myself or Gary to listen to them. So,
no. But drum cams have made up a lot of my entertainment during this. YouTube drum cams. I love watching great drummers rip.
I am definitely with that, and I will say that and throw a disclaimer out there that I cannot play anything close to drums at all.
me either. I am terrible.
The closest I could do is bust out the old Rock Band game on easy, and that's as far as it gets.
Yeah, I'll give you a 4-play and long time and like medium on drums in Rock Band. But like that's the extent of it. But like I could probably like at a low BPM hold a 4-beat, just like 1 and 3 on the bass and like 2 and 4 on the drums, and just count with the hat. If it's not too fast, I could probably do that for like 3 measures before like I start to get self-conscious or something.
Yeah,
before you start to fall down the stairs.
I fall right down the stairs immediately. No,
I'm teaching myself programming, so like I'm starting to understand more of the theory behind it. I don't have the motor skills and the independence of my limbs and muscle memory to ever be able to do that, and I'm not at a point in my life to where I'm going to start trying anytime soon.
You have to be able to separate your left brain from your right brain. That's really all it is, and I cannot do it. I even struggle just playing guitar half the time. I'm like, God, I got to do this again. Like, how does this work? It's the worst.
I can do that, but with the hands and the feet, like that, nah, I can't.
It's too much.
Just fucks me up.
Marty, did you see that Mike posted a new drum cam from his shed?
I saw the Descent drum cam from Chicago, and again, I just was like, it just reminded me how much I love watching that kid play the drums. Like, he is, and I'm not bullshitting you, top 5 Dead or Alive favorite drummers to watch. Like, I love watching that kid play a live set.
It was the main reason that Descent existed for as long as it did by the end, because, like, playing with him and watching him play was a joy just to be on stage. Like, I would find myself not even paying attention to the crowd, and I'd just be watching to see what is Mike going to do next.
Yep. Best seat in the house was behind the stage when he was playing, 100%.
Oh yeah, easily, 100%. Or at least side stage where you could actually like physically see him do it. I mean, he did some stuff where I was just like, how did you even think to do that in the moment? And it's like he's definitely, and he at the time was higher than a kite every single time. Anywhere. Like,
me and him out front right before he said that too.
Yeah. I mean, the two of you are just a cloud, and then he walks in, and like it should make his brain slower, but it's just like everything is hitting perfect, and like it was a dream to play with him. But anywhere I was going with that is that he's got this Instagram where he's starting to like put out content. And he put out a riff, like he wrote a riff, and then he played drums over it. And it's like a Gojira-inspired riff, and his drumming on it, like, for somebody who just picked their drums up from my studio after they've been sitting there for the last 6 or 7 months, it's blowing me away how fucking tight this kid is.
Yeah.
You know, I enjoy watching these videos of people playing their instruments.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
I will say that I'm the least interested in watching somebody play guitar.
Yes.
Like, I've seen enough of that at this point. If you're not toasting a bossy, I'm not impressed anymore.
Right, because, like, how many shred dudes does society actually need before it becomes fucking boring? Like, I don't even like guitar solos like that, for the most part. To be honest with you, like, I feel like that they serve their place. It depends.
See, I like a lot of that stuff, but it's getting harder and harder to be creative because it's just like, how, what is there at this point that you could do different?
Nothing.
You know what I mean?
One thing in the guitar YouTube or content creation at the environment I would like to see is like pedal and amp reviews that aren't just fucking dad rock blues riff bullshit. Show me your amp dimed out with a tube screamer slap in the front of it. Let me see how much ridiculous thick ass overdrive tone I can get out of this thing. Yeah. That's what I want to see. Like, cool, you can play Cocaine. All right, everyone else has seen everyone play that song before on one of these goddamn shows before, but whatever. So yeah, no, I mean, but to your point, at what point does this just become redundant? We're just watching the same video over and over again.
That's part of it. And it's not even just the video, just musically in general. To me, it's like, okay, we've had all these guys do all this stuff, but like, I'll just go back to Steve Vai and go to Jeff Loomis and just that's where I'm at. You know what I mean? Like I'm not, because even Len and I talked about this recently. Animals as leaders, like, it's cool. Doesn't grab me the same way. I'm more pissed off because they're putting bass players out of business with their fucking 9-string guitars and all that bullshit. But but it just, it doesn't grab me the same way because musically it's just not, like, it's too Nintendo for me sometimes. But I can get down with some of it.
For me, it's just the technicality of it all. Like, that dude is at the top of the game for technicality.
Oh, for sure.
If I want to watch somebody be really technical on guitar, that's probably what I'm looking at this point. Like, I've seen everything else. Yeah. So what next?
It's almost like going to like a exhibit at a museum. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I feel like when I'm listening to like Animals as Leaders or something like that, super on that technical proggy end of things. Like right now, super cutting edge, where it's just like, dinosaur bones, cool. And then I just go about the rest of my life not thinking about dinosaur bones. You know what I mean? And I'll listen to them like once every 2 or 3 years, or I'll catch a YouTube video and then listen to one of their records and be like, oh, that's sick. And that's about it. Like, that is as much as that music enriches my life. It just becomes like, oh, he can do that. Like, this song doesn't carry with me. I'm not like going to repeat that. It's not making any playlists or anything like that, So I feel like that end of things is what's really missing. I feel like so much music is just so disposable. Like, it's so, interchangeable with something that is very like it. And it's something that's not just a mainstream music thing. It's pervading through all facets of the underground too. Yeah. Like gent being a genre.
Oh, no, you use that word.
Like, no, I'm just saying, like, I think it's just an exhibit of what the problem, like, it is literally a sound a guitar makes when you hit one note on it. That is supposed to be the foundation of an entire genre or subgenre of music. And how long do you go before bands are putting out identical records to each other?
It took about 3 weeks. Come
on. I mean, by the time they came up with that stupid term, which I refuse to use, it was already done.
Yeah.
It was already done. But
we talked about this earlier, like on a previous episode, that nobody gives the band that should have the credit that it's due, and that's Candiria. because they created that idea and passed it off to everybody else, and then they ran with it and took it and shifted it. But the start-stop nature of playing comes directly from New York City, from that band Candiria, and nobody else is doing that.
In all fairness, Meshuggah does give them credit.
Okay. Only Meshuggah gives them credit.
But to me, like, Meshuggah is all that matters, because to me, okay, Candiria, and then Meshuggah took it and spun it in a different direction, and that's really it. Mm-hmm. Like, none of these other bands, like, a few of these bands I like, but to me, like...
They're not breaking any new ground.
Meshuggah is the one.
Right, exactly. Like, and like, if I want to listen to shit that sounds like that, that's what I listen to. You know, put on Rational Gaze. Whatever.
But that's like, that happens with a lot of these things, because, like, I was talking recently to my girlfriend about Unearth, and, like, how many bands have come out since then that sound like Unearth?
A million?
Exactly. To the point of where, like, Unearth doesn't even get the credit. Not that I'm a big fan of Unearth anyway. Like, I only really like their first record, maybe.
Stings of Conscience is a fucking amazing record.
Yeah.
But they don't even sound like that.
Right.
Like, they don't sound like that.
No.
So there was a time where it was like Unearth, Every Time I Die, and what is it? Transient Lights of the dudes from Philadelphia. Transient Effects of Light on the Water. Do you remember which band did that record?
Oh no.
Fuck. Oh, This Day Forward. Sorry, my brain. This Day Forward.
Not really
huge
familiar
band
with them.
But like, there was like this swath of bands that all had that like mildly chaotic sound, and each one of those bands drifted in a different direction.
Right.
And none of them continued right down the path. Like, I could not tell you one band that was popular, let's call it 97 through 99, that had that chaotic sound that did not veer away from it, because there's only so much you can do with that.
Right.
And then as you start to veer off into different directions, like, Unearth went way more metal than everybody else did.
Right.
With sweeps and, just being an actual metal band. But nobody gives them the credit for being I don't like some of the people in that band. It's been well documented. I'm not going to like harp on that on this show, but musically, amazing.
Right. Yeah, I don't, only that first record really grabbed me, but I do acknowledge that, like, a lot of bands ended up coming afterwards sounding just like them.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I got into Unearth, and kind of like, they were one of many, they weren't the first, but like kind of like in my entry into the hardcore world kind of bands, like when I was junior, senior year of high school. So probably I heard them first when Oncoming Storm came out, and then I went and backtracked through their catalog from there, right?
Okay.
So like that's kind of like my frame of reference for what Unearth is.
Right.
I hadn't really kept up with them after that. I kind of branched off both ways at the same time, where I got into like more traditional styles of hardcore and older death metal at the same time. I kind of branched off into both kind of simultaneously. So like I don't really know, like I'd seen him, I saw him play Mojo 13 in like 2011 or 12, and they mainly did old shit that I was familiar with, and they sounded great. They were super tight, et cetera, but I don't really know anything about the newer stuff.
So I brought this place up last week, or in our talk that we had last week with John Wren, Palanca Park. I actually saw a show that was Mushmouth and Unearth, when Unearth was doing their EP that came out before the Stings of Conscience.
Okay.
Literally, I've been following that band since its inception. I've since fallen off. The Oncoming Storm was like really the last record I enjoyed I will say that the EP before that, called Endless, the Endless EP, is probably my second favorite release from them.
Right, and I think it's fair to say that the best songs on Oncoming Storm were songs that were re-records from the Endless EP.
Yep.
Without a doubt. Those are the best songs on that record.
But the best music they put out, is Sting's Conscience. Because it has its own little thing going on. Like, it's still metal, but, you know. I don't know where bands can go from here.
Yeah.
There's only like 4 chords. Like, you got 4 chords. You got like.
Well, I've always said that it's like there's only 12 notes and like there's only so many combinations. But you know, there are still people that manage to innovate and do things here and there.
Well, yeah, there are only 12 notes in a chromatic scale, but there are also, I don't know, for each scale about 7 or 8 different modes. You know, I feel like there's a lot of room there if people wanted to go for it, but I don't know if a lot of people are willing or able or have the knowledge to explore other sounds other than, you know, just what they've already heard.
Well, part of the problem is that everybody's just trying to keep up with their peers, and instead of like just looking to do something interesting. And I think that that's part of what's missing. And it's even missing in bands that I've been involved in, that there's this steadfast nature of people who don't want to expand beyond what might be considered normal.
Right.
And I feel like it like hinders progress in the idea that you'll never break new ground if you're only worried about retreading in the space that you already exist.
Right.
But I mean, I think we all at a certain point, if we follow that formula, we'll get to a wall where it's just like, I'm out. I'm done. Like, I have explored this sandbox as much as I can. All the toys are buried and I can't find them anymore. I'm fucking done. I need to do something else. So really, at that point, it becomes a self-defeating mission where it's just like you're kind of creating an endpoint for yourself. Like, I only can go so far. I can only go this far. Whereas, like, for me, I just want to make the best stuff I can make with, you know, the best people I can. And I feel like I'm in a situation where, thankfully, where I can do that, you know, once we can all actually jam together and do shows again, you know?
I heard that your drummer is banned from any contact with the outside world, so there is no jamming for you.
You know what? He downloaded a metronome app, so if that becomes his best friend, me as the other part of the rhythm section is okay with that. And I will gladly encourage that pursuit.
But yeah, talking about all that, like what we were talking about earlier, like and like animals as leaders and bands like that, like it's even harder to do stuff like that when you don't have lyrics. When you're doing all instrumental stuff. Have you guys ever heard a record called Conquering Dystopia?
I have, but I don't know why I've heard it.
Yeah, Sam. Yeah.
It's Jeff Loomis and this other dude, Keith Merrow.
Okay, that's why. Keith Merrow is the reason why I know.
And oh my God, why am I forgetting the drummer's name? But Alex Webster from Cannibal played the bass on the record. And toured with them because they actually toured, I think. Yeah, they Animals in Periphery, and it was a crazy seeing them do this. Alex Webster's fucking phenomenal, but they were actually able to do cool stuff, and it was all instrumental. But it was heavy. It was, you know, it was a lot of shred, but also a lot of crazy rhythm playing. Also, it was good stuff.
Yeah, I've definitely listened to that record. It came out in like 2013,
a couple of years ago. Yeah. Yeah, and there's talk that they may eventually do another one. But, Loomis, well, now nobody's busy, but Loomis always used to be busy with Arch Enemy, which I think is a huge waste of his talent.
All right,
he's
so that
one of my favorite guitar players.
That first Arch Enemy, record, I loved it. Or maybe it was the first one with Angela on it. We'll say that. The first record with Angela on it, I fucking loved.
I don't even remember which one, because I was into
Sins
them
or something or
like
other.
the very first record,
Right.
which came out a long time ago. But then I kind of lost interest after like the second or third.
So
I already lost interest by the time Angela was in the band.
So I found out about them when Angela was in the band, right? And they came up on my YouTube, just like kind of like popped up as the next video type deal. And I watched through the video, and it's still kind of the same formula they were rocking with Angela, like with the new singer. Apparently Angela like still involved with the band. Like it sounds solid. Like
Yeah.
if you were a fan and like really, really into like the first like 2 or 3 records with Angela Gasso on it.
Yeah.
It's probably nothing you've ever heard new before, but it's not bad by any stretch.
No,
I mean,
it's not. It's
Loomis
not bad.
is still a killer. Anna's still a killer, you know.
Killer, but Loomis is only doing solos, which to me is just such a waste, because that dude is one of my favorite guitar players, and to not let him write, because I loved Nevermore, and he was the main writer in Nevermore, and I just think it's such a waste of his talent that they're not even letting him write any stuff. But I guess it's because Arch Enemy has their formula, and that's the way they do, because they sound pretty much the same, and that's part of why I lost interest, because it was just, paint by numbers.
Yep.
But Loomis, I guess he's on, he's in that get money phase.
Right.
But I think it's such a waste of his talent, and I think he could do so much more, and it's a shame because now Nevermore's dead because Warrell Dane died, the singer. But I think, his Conquering Dystopia stuff is great, and the dude could do so much other stuff because he's such a good player, and he could write, but it has this melodic element to it also. But, at this point, he's just doing the Arch Enemy thing and making that cash.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't seem like it's awfully hard for them. It seems like all they have to do is put their name and a date and a city on the flyer, and they sell out the place. Like especially in Europe, like some of the live videos, like it's just like they don't have to do much, man. They got a
huge following in Europe, and they do all that festival stuff, and it's easy. I mean,
here's the thing, like, let's face it, we've all been in bands, involved in some extent, one way or the other, for long enough. We've struggled, we've eaten some shit, to be like, hey, that probably sounds pretty nice to some certain extent. That sounds pretty,
oh, sure.
You don't have to think about it too hard. You're not doing simple arithmetic to make sure you have enough gas to make the next city or to make it home.
Oh,
yeah, no. So there's a lot of comfort in that, and I can't knock that.
I'm not hating. I just think it's a shame, just because I don't think his full talent is being utilized.
Yeah.
But whatever. I mean, listen, he's doing his thing, so good for him.
Yeah, he'll probably get in that phase where he's like, doing features on people's shit, and that like his features will be mind blowing, or he'll do like a guest spot.
I saw him do a guest spot recently for my friend Jesse on something, and his guest spot was just insanity.
Oh yeah, that dude rips, and he's so good. But listen, hopefully that Conquering Dystopia record was fantastic, and if he does another one of those, that'll be great.
I have to admit, I looked at the Arch Enemy release list, and I'm like blown away right now, because I mean, obviously I know Wages of Sin, and I know most of the records from the late 90s that existed just because I've come across them, listened to them, etc. But I had no idea that there's basically a new record every 2 years since Wages of Sin came out.
They're a brand.
Yeah,
They're a brand. It's crazy.
I had no clue because I just stopped listening after Wages of Sin because I had heard everything I needed to hear from them at that point.
And I didn't know, like, I got into them with what I thought was their first record, but I was on record number 3, which was Burning Bridges. It came out in '99. So they had 2 records even before that.
Right, Black Earth and Stigmata. And then I didn't get into them until a record after that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm just like looking at this list of records and I'm just like, wow, I had no fucking clue that they had like literally 15 releases.
Yeah, they've been steady pumping them out, and they, you know, I certainly would never take anything away from them because they put it out and then they hit the road and they stay on the road.
Yeah, I mean, they do the album tour cycle. So, do an album, do some tours, come back, write a new album, go out back on tour again.
I have a feeling they're going to turn into like a Menudo type arrangement. Like as far as like the lead vocalist scenario is like they're going to cycle out like someone who is killing it in another band to fill the quote unquote Angela spot. Like, can you aspire to be the next Angela Gassau? And it's going to get crazier and crazier as time goes on.
And then occasionally Angela will show up and do a show or two.
Yep. And then eventually
she still manages them.
Right.
So she just left as far as performing and touring, but she still manages them. And
she retired, hung up her skates, went to the front office, is working as a GM now.
Yeah, I mean, I saw them at New England Metal Fest with Angela, and they were one of the main reasons that I went up to that fest. I mean, the New England Metal Fest in general in the early 2000s was just the pinnacle of where to be if you weren't at Hellfest. Like, it was either Hellfest or New England Metal Fest. Those were the 2 places, and Arch Enemy was headlining one of the nights, and I was big into that Wages of Sin record, so I was like, let's go, and it was fucking amazing. Even in that shitty room, because that room has terrible acoustics.
I've heard that. Still popular spot.
Yeah. So, Marty, we were talking the other day, and you told me that you started, this is kind of the take on just that whole conversation about expanding your range and, like, looking for new opportunities to just learn how to play music, etc. You told me that you were thinking about taking lessons on.
I'm already taking them.
So, can you tell me about that? I want to know more about that.
So, I'm not plugging anything, whatever.
No,
I started.
Is not supposed to be a plug.
I enrolled in Scott's Bass Lessons. He's got a YouTube channel, website.
Okay, yeah,
I've seen him there. Yeah, I'm sure if you watch enough. I think if you type in 3 different bass review, like if you're looking for a P bass review, whatever, 3 different times on YouTube, next thing you know, your entire feed is Scott's Bass Lessons after that.
He definitely comes up a lot.
So I enrolled in the course. I mean, so here's the progression of things. It's like through COVID, we'll all look for stuff to do, right? Obviously, video games an easy one. I'm working, whatever. Shit gets stale. I ended up buying myself just a cheap P-Bass copy, just to kind of bone up and play, because I realized I wasn't really running through the set like we had shows anymore or anything like that. I just got really into playing again, and I was playing like upwards of 3. Like I would ask Kate 3 to 5 hours a day, just like on Songster, grabbing tabs, like learning, like just the classic rock cuts, different like yacht rock shit, just like stuff that was just like good foundational bass playing, right? Just like playing in the beat, playing to the chord, playing arpeggios, etc., to where I just was like, all right, now I'm starting to find myself hitting the wall. Like I'm just like doing a hamster wheel thing where I'm just like repeating, playing the same.
Hold on a second. Back up a second, just because I'm curious and I want to get a little back. Did you ever take lessons before?
Yeah. So when I first started playing bass, I was 14. So I've been playing for 20 years now.
Okay.
I took a few lessons, and then I broke my pinky playing freshman football in my high school. Never went back to lessons after that. ended up going in a jazz band, made it through reading changes on the top of the bars my sophomore year, started taking lessons again my junior year. The guy I learned from was more of a guitar player who also played bass than a bass player.
Right.
And within the past actually 3 or 4 days, I'm starting to notice I learned some bad habits.
Yeah.
From that, that I'm now trying to unlearn and relearn better habits to make the fretboard a little more friendly.
Len, weren't we talking about that recently? Bass players that play like guitar players?
Yep. I mean, that's the normal thing that happens is that typically the people that end up playing bass aren't people playing bass because they love to play bass. They're the guitar players who couldn't hack it.
The least good guitar player in the group of friends.
Yeah, but they don't want to get kicked out.
Or the one that's just like, all right, fine, I'll play bass.
Right.
We need a bass player.
We need a bass player, and I want to play.
Yeah.
Right.
But they're typically guitar players, and then the people don't spend the time to like understand the instrument in which they're playing. They're like, well, it's got strings on it. It's like a guitar. It's a guitar. I'm playing the low guitar parts.
So the kind of like the structure I'm using, and that's the thing I felt like I needed the most was just like the structure more so than the material, because there's a lot of material out there, right?
Right.
I needed some structure to it to kind of just like serve as some sort of like pathway or something like that.
Yeah, I get
That's
that.
kind of why I'm like trying this thing out, because they have like a graded system. And it's like levels depending on what you can do, what you know musically, as far as like your overall knowledge. And I missed so it's like 9 grades. I missed grade 4 out of 9 by 1 question, because I couldn't honestly say that I knew the entire A Mixolydian from open to 19. Though I didn't know the whole fretboard worth of it. I couldn't honestly say that. I couldn't remember in the moment exactly where the 7th was on a Mixolydian. And I was like, fuck, I can't answer this, the right. So let me just, and now I'm at level 3 and like my left hand's hurting, like doing like just a few like just run throughs of like the song that the whole lesson is based around, right? The piece the whole lesson is based around. So I'm going back, and because of this, I'm now going through metronome groove training. I'm now teaching myself playing on the beat, teaching myself playing off the beat. I'm teaching myself harmonically, like where the chords sit, like what, like just like simple, like they have backing tracks to like train off of, like simple 2-chord progressions. Like here's the notes that you have to work with. Here's 3 minutes and 30 seconds of music. Just practice using these notes to create grooves. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. It's just like not like super elementary, like first fret F, third fret G shit, but just like kind of like that more beginner to intermediate stuff, just kind of like boning up on those fundamentals that everyone needs to, to kind of know, I feel, and it's been rewarding. Like I'd say like it's, I'm just not rushing myself with that. I'm not like just doing it for the sake. I'm doing it because I actually want to get better. So I'm not like I'm immersing myself. It's not like, and that's the thing. I have this time now. Like I'm trying to use this whole bullshit as a blessing in whatever way as I can, and I have the time now to study that, and take that all in. Whereas I'm not commuting back and forth to work. I have 2 hours a day that I didn't have any. What I'm saying? And you can only, like Len said earlier, there's only so much shit on Netflix you can watch before you want to drill a hole into your head. And so forth and so on. So that's where I'm at right now. We're just like kind of back to where I was when I was bored and 15 years old. It's like I'm just going to go up to my room with my fucking bass and now it's a little direct box into my computer, but my little shitty practice rig, and just try to get better. It's been fun. I'm enjoying it.
That's good, man.
Sounds interesting.
I think it'll be interesting then if this COVID thing ever goes away and you guys get back to making some music, the things that you'll be able to add.
Right. Well,
to the sauce.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's part of it. Like I was trying at its outset. Len, you remember as we were talking back and forth. Like I got Reaper, and I'm starting to teach myself. I got a little MIDI keyboard, and like I set up to like try to like figure out how to record stuff at home and demo stuff and get ideas I have in my head into some sort of like concrete form, one way or the other.
Right.
And I got it all set up, and I was just like, all right, well, I have all these ideas in my head that I don't know how to get out.
Right. So then kind of have to teach yourself just the skills to be able to make them come to fruition.
Exactly. And the knowledge to be like, okay, what I hear in my head is a seventh chord, or it's a minor progression. Like, it's like I know some of that. I've known enough of that to be functional. Like, I can hear like a root to minor third, like, because I listen to Black Sabbath, and that's literally the crux of all their music is just root to minor third, root to minor third, root to minor third, diminished fifth. That is all of their music, basically, right? So I'm just kind of like getting back into that where I'm immersing myself into not only learning, but also getting better at listening to stuff. And when I hear stuff, just like identifying what it is I'm hearing. And it's not easy, but like I'm slowly starting to come around. And like there's this stuff I can hear that I know I can hear, but there's this stuff like sometimes I don't know if I'm hearing something right or not, but like I'm getting better at it just from hitting my brain with different music at all times and like practicing to a metronome, like simple shit, simple shit.
Right. So we talked earlier this week, and I just sat down and learned the guitar lines, all but the solos for Easy Lover, and I am 100% on board with doing this whole cover thing. Okay. So we need to go ahead and do that, but I need a drummer, so you need to find.
We got it. It's being taken care of.
But he can't follow metronome yet, so
he's working on it. That's someone who, whenever they had to do something,
they do it.
They figured out a way to do it, and that person feels like they have to do this.
All right.
So that is the basis of my confidence. And you know what? If that's the hill I die on, so be it. I'll be wearing a mask, so whatever.
It's so hard to get that whole covers thing together, though. Damn it.
Yeah, I know. We've talked about doing stuff.
I
just like,
I would love to do it, man.
I'm dying to do it, and it's hard to get people to actually commit.
Yep. And like I could
schedule.
I could do whatever, but it's like I need everybody else involved to be as interested. So, and that's not to say anything to you, Gary, or you, Marty, about it. It's just like there's always like one other person or two other people, and they say, yeah, I'm interested. And then like 3 weeks goes by and you message them and they never talk to you again. And you're like, cool, I guess I'll go fuck myself.
Well, here's the thing. Like, you say that like we don't have a friend group that's a Venn diagram with a very big middle part.
Yeah, but the middle part, the middle part doesn't have enough actual good drummers in it.
That's what I get what you're saying.
The middle part is big. It's like really big, and lots of offshoots. But that the good drummer portion is like 3. There's like 3 of them in there.
But let me ask you this, because this is another question where, Len, you and I were talking about doing something and started and kind of went off the rails. But what about the singer part of that?
Oh, God. And half these people can't sing at all.
That's the real problem, because we got stuck with the drummer part, but the singer part, I think, would be our real obstacle. And we didn't even get that far. But we also were working on something that's complicated from a singer point of view.
Yeah. That's when this would be the line I would take if I couldn't find anybody, right? Mm-hmm. All of us probably have a friend who works in stage production in theater in some way. They either work front of house sound, back of house sound, they're a stage crew, maybe they're makeup, whatever, right? We have other friends in the arts. Some of them might be connected to that theater world, right? And anyone,
somebody can actually sing a little bit.
Someone who's like in the backline bunch of a big production, right? Who, if it was their local theater in their hometown, would blow the doors off the place, right? That's the kind of person you get, because then they get a credit, they get a YouTube credit, whatever. They get something that's searchable on YouTube. You can find them again. So, everybody wins. Everybody's happy.
Interesting.
I didn't even think of that angle.
I didn't think of that either.
You're probably right. And I definitely know some people.
My only question with that is, can you find somebody that's still a little, that's not too refined and can still get a little dirty with it?
Well, I mean, I feel, that's why I'm saying theater, right? I'm not saying like a choir person or someone who's from that like kind of more classical vocal, like opera, where you're expected to deliver the exact same performance every single night. Like, I feel like in a lot of musical theater, there's probably a little bit more give from night to night because it's a live entity, where you can lean into different notes or phrase things in different ways, more soulfully, interpret it different ways, as long as you're on beat with whatever the band's doing.
Right.
Because you kind of need both. If you're doing a cover, like, of course, you can't just do a like-for-like copy, because you could just listen to the original song. Mm-hmm. And the second part of that is that it also has to be recognizable that it is, in fact, a cover, so it has a familiarity to it. So you got to find someone who can find that balance, right? So that's why I think maybe someone in the theater, like, if you are into the Cats soundtrack or the Hamilton soundtrack or whatever, and you're familiar with the songs, like, you're not going to see the original cast necessarily perform it, but you want to see a good show of someone doing those same songs, and a good show is going to be someone who catches you off guard.
Right. I'm just thinking,
boring.
When it comes to heavy,
on the heavy end,
sometimes you can get somebody, like, you could tell when somebody's not a heavy singer, you know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
It doesn't feel authentic.
Yeah. But then at the end of the day, also these days, that's what the post-production world and the throwing the microphone out to the front to the rear rows of the crowd, that's how they come in handy, I guess. Right. So I don't know how much people are worrying about that anymore. Because, like, Len, something you said a long time ago, not that long, a couple years ago, it stuck with me, is that, like, you didn't necessarily have to be good at your instrument, whatever it was, past like 1995 because of digital recording technology, right?
Yeah, I mean, the closer to now, the less I would say that the people are practiced as a whole.
Right, because you don't have to be, because you can go in, record 4 beats, and then loop those 4 beats, and then record another 4 beats, and repeat, right? You don't have to play a whole song in one take, or, cut a song into 3, or do, you can pitch shift your own overdubs anymore. You don't have to think about what the harmony is. You don't have to compose your own harmonies. A producer can do that for you, Yeah. Whereas, if you're talking to someone who's their crux of their profession is a live element.
So they have to, like, be able to just come in and do it.
They have the chops, Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like musicians these days, a lot of them don't have the chops. I mean, you hear these records that come out, and you're like, oh, man, the record sounds amazing. Then you go watch them live, and it's just pure dog shit. And you're like, what the fuck happened?
Yep.
Well, I got catfished. I got audio catfished.
Well, I think maybe part of that, and, it might be a mild tinfoil hat thing, but I think it might have something to do with the decline in record sales in the past, like, 20, 25 years with digital technology, right? In that, if a label thought that you being on the road doing the best show you possibly could would sell more records, they would probably throw as much money as they could possibly at that. You know what I mean? Whereas now, you can have a great show, you can have a mediocre show or a piss poor show. Chances are the label's not seeing that money one way or the other. There's no bottom line for them. They're not moving the records they used to. The Spotify plays are pennies at best, So I don't know. Does that have something to do with it? I don't know.
Well, I think part of it, and Len and I have discussed this many times, and I've discussed it with other people I know that are engineers and stuff like that. I think part of it is just pure laziness, because I know Len has dealt with this. You know, Glenn from Billy Club, he has a studio also, and he's dealt with this so many times. It's like, you know, bands come in and aren't ready, and then are just like, oh, you could just fix that later, right?
Nah, motherfucker, you need to play it right now.
Yeah, and that's why they're lazy about it, and that's why they sound like shit, because they think, oh, well, I'll just half-ass it, and they can fucking copy-paste it later on. And it's like, that's why your band sounds like shit.
Right.
So you sound like shit because you can't even be bothered to practice your own damn songs.
So that new Thorns of Reality that's coming out that me, Mike, and Mitchell worked on, I'm going to tell you that Mike showed me those riffs kind of on the spot, and I sat down for the night and I just played each one separately till I knew it perfectly, and then I just cut each piece of the song as it was needed alongside of what he had already cut. So I had his guitar playing and then my knowledge of how it was played, and like I just kind of put it all together. And then I had a quick conversation with Mitchell about what notes were used, and I sent it over to him, and then he sent me back a bass track, and it was fine. But we're all in tune with each other. I think a lot of these bands don't even get in tune with each other at this point, so they don't even know how each other are fucking coming at the goddamn songs.
No.
They're just showing up unprepared completely and asking you to polish a turd, and it's not even a turd, it's just a wet pile of fucking diarrhea.
Well, I mean, to speak to that, I feel like it is natural for anyone who is a little greener around the ears to have a desire to want to do all the cool shit on their instrument, but maybe skip some of that boring shit that is actually really important to know long run. You know what I mean? So maybe that has something to do with it, where like these kids just don't understand basic rhythm. You know, they don't understand a 4 count.
Yeah. I mean, I had a band in who said their one guitar player was like, the click is throwing me off. I don't know how to play to a click. And at that point, I said to myself, there is no way this is going to work. But I had to muddle through.
I mean, you have won jackpots off of shittier hands before. I've seen it.
I have, but it's still painful. Like, I'm not the greatest player to a click, but if you give me a click, I will find my goddamn way around it. Because I will treat it like it's the snare. I will trick my own brain into thinking that click is actually just the sound of a snare, and all you have to do is keep up with it. That's it. It's not that goddamn hard. Yeah, it's just the best cowbell player in the world is just standing right next to me, keeping time for me. That's it. And I just got to groove along to him. That's it. Yep. That's just you think of it as an instrument. It's not a tool. It's you're playing along to it, and you're not just playing to it. You can play around it and play against it, and that's like what I'm trying to get better at, and more like, because I feel like I do it naturally to a certain degree, but I feel like I could know more and be more practiced in that idea. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
So, and that's, again, part of the reason why I started taking lessons again is just, one, I have the time, and two, there's stuff I want to know. That's it,
So what else? So what else do you spend your time doing?
So we decided while we were already at the grocery store, this is going to be Operation Don't Order Out for at least the next week, because it's just, I don't know about you guys, but it's just an easy trap to fall into with like not a whole lot else other to do and spend our money on. That like it's an easy sell to just like order out for the night, And just to kind of get out of the habit of that, we're like, all right, we're just going to do let's do a week straight at first, because that's hard for us. So a full week, we're making all the food in the house, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We're just, going to grab a bunch of groceries, do that. So that's what I've been doing. I made a Sunday sauce yesterday for pasta from scratch using an online thing. It came out really good. So a little bit of cooking. Play the fuck out of Call of Duty. That's been
nice.
In some respects, more for the social aspect. because that is like one surefire way where I'll catch up with people who otherwise I may not see. You know, a lot of our friends are playing that, so you know, I get it on there. It's kind of like, you know, stopping by the local before, you know, you get stop home. You know, just like seeing who's hanging out, who's watching the game or whatever. You know, Same idea. You know, just log in and see who's on. If there's nobody on, no big deal. I'll play some, you know, single player for a while. Just occupy my time for a little bit. But beyond that, listen to a lot of music. YouTube, you know, a lot of music. Like I just, you know, music's always been my main interest in life. So that has been a lot of what I'm doing is just kind of learning more, listening to more. You know, listen, you know, a lot of those like critical like YouTube channels, like Rick Beato's and you know, stuff like that. Just kind of like breaking down songs, how they work. Just kind of just taking the time and filling my brain with shit I like.
I love that stuff.
Yeah, so I mean, I watch Beato all the time. He's an interesting guy. He always has a new little angle on things that I hadn't thought of before, and you know, I do enjoy his channel. I also spend a lot of time not listening, but watching guys do like mix reviews or showing me little tiny tips and tricks to make my tool bag a little bit bigger. So that every time I go into the studio, I have something new to try.
Right.
You know, I'm trying to learn things with this time off, but you know, other than that, I'm just watching like random shit on YouTube and Netflix that aren't even related to music, and you know,
See, I go
a lot of like UFC stuff because they're the only sport on TV.
Yeah. For a while. Now it's different.
Well, I don't watch baseball or basketball or any of those sports normally, so I would never even watch it. But for a while, they were the only sport. Now everybody else is starting to come back, and that's obviously a mess. But yeah, I mean, have you been watching a lot of wrestling lately?
Yeah, I've been tuning into AEW. My attention levels episode to episode, you know, it's going to depend on the content. And, you know, we've all played shows to nobody before, and it can be tough to keep that energy up, you know. And I feel like sometimes the content has suffered that lack of that live interaction that I feel is maybe the most important part of a pro wrestling show. But yeah, I mean, I keep up. I thought last episode there was some great shit on that of AEW. I can't be bothered with WWE anymore. I just got to a point where
I'm the same way, where the WWE stuff has gotten so bad that I just can't. I can't take it in. Even NXT, which I used to enjoy, it's just gotten to the point where I can't even watch NXT anymore. And I find I watch AEW, and I've been watching now that some of the indie companies have started up again. I've been watching a lot of that because, like, I watched, you know, in the past couple of weekends, I watched a bunch of shows. They had the King of the Death match from Indiana, and I watched that one night. I missed the second night because that was the night, Len, that I was chilling with you. And then I watched part of day 2, and then GCW did a show, and then this weekend ICW did 2 shows, and I just find it so much more enjoyable. Like All Elite is good, but with the WWE stuff, I just can't anymore.
Yeah, I mean,
and did you hear about what happened this week on Raw and SmackDown?
I can't say that I have.
Okay.
I'm pretty moved. Like, if something crosses my way on YouTube, I'll check it out. Like, if I'm reading a dirt sheet and there's a cool angle or promo that I feel is worth my time, I'll check it out on YouTube. But
Len, you're far removed from this, so I'm going to tell you about this, and I want to see how you react to this.
Okay, I want to hear it.
They started hyping up a new thing where some new faction is going to...
Oh, I think I saw like some tiny headlines about this, and it's all old dudes, right?
Well, no, because they haven't revealed who they are. It's a bunch of people with masks that show up and start wrecking shit and spray painting shit.
Oh, you mean Aces and Eights from TNA 7 years ago?
Yeah, but they've got masks. They all look like they're under 6 foot. It looks like there's 2 women, but nobody knows who they are. Len, it's basically like the Looters.
Oh, okay. So they're playing that trope.
Yeah, and it looks so bad. It was so painful, and like then suddenly one of them busts out a chainsaw and cuts the ropes with the chainsaw. It's like, where the fuck did you get a chainsaw? And they're spray painting everything.
I don't know.
And the worst part of it is the visual, because then there's, they've been doing these WWE shows and they have a quote-unquote crowd,
right,
which is really just the trainees, because they do it all in their performance center down in Florida, where they train new people. So it's the trainees acting as the crowd, and there's one point where a girl falls down and they all kind of surround her.
Okay.
And I'm just like, oh, no.
Can't do that.
No. And it just gave me all the wrong chills, and I was just like, oh, this is so bad. And that was it. We all know
that it's been bad for a while. Like, I admittedly am not a big wrestling fan at this current juncture, but part of it is just that it is so bad and hard to watch the major companies that it just hurts half the time. I'm like, I don't understand how people are willfully watching this. I don't get it.
Yeah, I just and I can't, like, I don't know, WWE has just been so bad quality wise in general, but now with this stuff, and it's known that Vince is a buddy of Trump, and and it's just like, it's obvious that it's like Vince's way of like, oh well, let's work this into the storyline, and it's like, oh no, please don't. Like, it looks so bad that I can't even.
Right.
Like I said, I lost interest in most WWE product anyway. But now to work that stuff into it, and poorly, it's like, oh God, just don't. Please, just don't.
The hardest part for me is that they make the angles almost like they think I'm a fucking idiot.
Oh yeah.
Like, the little bit I've seen from AEW reminds me a lot more of the kind of the way that NWA and WCW put their angles together, and not that it's believable, because none of it's really believable, but it doesn't feel so forced.
Right.
So, like, it's easier for me to tune into that, but I'm not tuning in regularly to see any of it. It's like in passing at best.
Yeah, I'll still watch on the Wednesdays, because I find AEW to be much more enjoyable. But I mean, when it comes to anything WWE related, it's just so bad. And Marty, tell me if you agree with this. I used to watch NXT and I kind of lost interest in it. The thing that bothers me the most about NXT is that you see these guys and you like these guys, and then they bring them up to the main show and they just shit on them. Yeah,
that's exactly why. You know what? 100% exactly why I stopped giving a fuck about NXT, because you know what? My heart can only break so many times.
Exactly.
People I've loved watching grow from New Japan or from Ring of Honor into like a straight up animal in NXT, only to become a low mid-carder who opens the pre-show if they're lucky for the big 4 year. It's crazy to me. Like,
it's like terrible.
They don't understand. Like, Finn Balor, if they gave him the right amount of creative license, that dude sells out stadiums, fuck arenas.
Yeah.
If you gave him complete creative control of his character, that dude is going to put butts in every seat of every arena you want him in. Same with Nakamura. Nakamura the same way. They try to force everybody into this like weird Boy Meets World storyline sitcom that just doesn't really make sense to a grown adult when it comes to a combat situation. Like,
so bad.
Have you ever been squared up to another human being and said to that person that you're going to kick their butt?
But
that's literally what I was just saying to you for just a minute ago, was just like that I can't, like, the storylines are so childish that I can't do it.
Well, because Vince still
let him fight, like, whatever. Like,
Vince somehow still has it in his head that he's appealing to kids, and it's like, kids don't give a fuck about this shit.
No,
like, you know, and he just continues to shit on old school fans
because he just doesn't care. And he's got the money. He's got fuck you money. So he just. Well,
that's what it is, because he's just got the money and he's just like, whatever. I don't give a fuck. But like, you bring these guys. You have these guys in NXT for like a year. They work their way up to the main event. Okay, and everybody's into them. Everybody loves them. And these are guys. Some of these guys I've been following from like the indies, and then they bring them up to the main roster, and all of a sudden they're in a shitty feud with a shitty guy like Baron Corbin, and then suddenly they're jobbing out in tag matches, and then you barely see them for like 2 months.
Right. And it's like one of these things where it's like you can almost split the NXT, the developmental program they have, into two like distinct groups, and it's basically as such. It's the career wrestlers who have been everywhere honing their craft, and all the former football players who either A, retired early due to injury, or B, couldn't make the draft.
Yep. Or, you know, when it comes to the women, there's the fitness models.
Fitness models or wrestlers' daughters, if we're being honest. Right now, with the, like, don't get me wrong, like Sasha Banks, like, and let's give it credit where credit's due. WWE's women's roster still blows the AEW's roster out of the water when you talk about depth and matchmaking potential.
Maybe. But I will say they need to do something with AEW's women. But the WWE women, you know, but that's another one. Like, I really like Bianca Belair.
Right.
They brought her up, and then she disappeared. And it's just silly. It's just, they just continue to just completely fuck this up. And like I said, some of these guys that they have, I mean, Jesus Christ, Ricochet had that match with Will Ospreay in Japan, that series of matches, and everybody talked about it for months and months and months.
One of the most shared videos on Facebook was that match. I saw it like 17 times on Facebook.
Yeah. So they get Ricochet, they have him work his way through NXT, they bring him up to the main roster, and then he's a nobody. He's a fucking nobody. And it's like, are you kidding me?
That dude has the capability to be the cruiserweight version of The Rock, in that, not like the same gimmick or same character, but that guy has the charisma to where he could become a mainstream celebrity through the avenue of pro wrestling, like The Rock did. And The Rock just bought the XFL from Vince McMahon. We got to talk about. We can put it aside. We're going into that. But could you imagine if you created a business and then had a side business that failed, and then one of your employees just came and said, you know, I'll buy you out because I'm actually richer than you now? That's got to be somewhat of a butthurt.
Yeah, but you know what? You know where the real butthurt will come? When The Rock actually does something with it.
Yeah, I think he will actually do something with it, though.
What Vince also doesn't realize is that Vince tries to change it, and it's sports entertainment and this and that, and Vince hates all this old Southern carny shit. It's fucking carny out of all of it. Anything he does, everybody just looks at it like it's just goofball shit. Because most of it is. Because nothing he's doing helps him at all. And he makes these shitty deals, and it's just, what's the point?
And he also overhired. Like there was just way too many people on the roster and in developmental tend to ever be sound, and sustainable. And then on top of that, you had the pandemic hit. And then he laid off almost half or more than half of the entire roster they had.
Yeah, he laid off a whole bunch of guys, and those guys will go on. And it's a shame because with the timing now, because of course there's not many indie shows going on.
Yeah.
A lot of those guys aren't going to find work for a while, but some will.
Some will.
I watched.
Not all.
I watched 2 weeks ago. Game Changer Wrestling had fucking Leo Rush. Leo Rush versus Joey Janela, and it was a fantastic match.
Okay, I could see that.
And Leo Rush was one of those guys that they cut loose. Yeah, he had problems and this and that, but they have so many guys that they cut loose for all these different reasons, and it's like, you know what? You could have made money with these guys, and you didn't. And it's good, like I said, I wish they were in a position where they could make more money, but I'm just glad to see these guys just get out.
Well, that's the thing, what I can appreciate about AEW is that, the guys they are giving those shots to are guys who I also think really deserve a shot. Guys and gals, on both sides, on the women's roster and the men's roster. Big Swole, I always thought there was something to her, and I'm glad that she's got a platform now, right? That maybe she could not have broken through the noise on NXT. And the same thing goes for a lot of wrestlers, kind of that, either they came Zack Ryder, Matt Cardona, whatever it is. It's clear that he has a lot of potential to him. He always did. He just never had the opportunities. And Eddie Kingston, I've been a huge Eddie Kingston guy since the first time I saw him in Chikara. And that was it was such an organic, it was more of a hardcore show than a wrestling show. It was at the Troc, it was a full house, but it was still an intimate, setting. And there's a lot of back and forth between the wrestlers in the ring and the crowd. Eddie's a Liverpool FC supporter. Someone threw a scarf at him from the balcony, and he held it up and started singing "We'll Never Walk Alone." And it was cool, man. And that stuck with me. That he was this dude is legit and he's believable, even in a small setting like this, where pretty much the whole business is exposed to anyone with half a brain. You know what I mean?
He's a real cool dude. I met him a couple of times because I had a friend that used to have his own promotion, and he worked a couple of the shows. And he's from Yonkers, just above the border from the Bronx. And I rode in a car with him a couple of times. I had a conversation or two with him, and he was just a cool dude. He was totally down to earth, and he's been grinding for years and years in the indies. Yeah. So to see him get that spot was great, and to see them actually sign him, I was so happy to see that.
Same. I was and that's cool. I've never felt happy for wrestlers getting just simply signed to a contract like AEW, because they pick guys who I've seen, Sugar D, another one, Pineapple Pete, whatever. Same Chikara show. He was an undercard legend on the East Coast. He was everywhere. He would do somehow 5 shows a weekend. He'd be everywhere, right? It's really cool to see him every week on national television. Is he in a match every week? No, but he's got his foot in the door, and that's more than most people end up getting.
Yeah,
who are just as good.
And there's a bunch of those guys, and it's and it's good because I see that. And I think about what would Vince do with guys like some of these guys, and it's just I'm so glad that they didn't sign with Vince, because they would get more money, but your career is just dead.
Yeah.
Dead. And it's such a shame, because they could make money with so many of these guys, fucking Cesaro. Guys like Dolph Ziggler. It's there's so many guys that they could make money with.
All right. Well, I think in Ziggler's case, he seems to be just happy where he's at, collecting the check he's collecting, and doing all the side gigs he does. He doesn't.
I think he's checked out.
100%.
But but I also think that, they started to pull the trigger on him years ago when they had him win the title the day after Mania. Mm-hmm. And then, people say, oh, it's because he got hurt or this or that. But there were other guys that they always pushed even though they got hurt. I think it's just, poor choices. They should have pushed him. There's other guys they should have pushed. Damian Sandow was another guy that I think they could have made money with. And, and even other guys that I don't necessarily like guys like Rusev and stuff like that. Like, there's so many guys that they had that they could have made money with, and it's going to come back to haunt them later because now you see them bringing back guys from 10, 20 years ago, guys like Goldberg, and they keep dragging The Undertaker out. Leave that fucking dude to be already, please. Yeah. He should have retired 10 fucking years ago.
Well, thankfully, he says he's done now.
Until Vince needs him again.
Yeah.
But think about this. 20 years from now, when they need the boost because they haven't built up any stars, who the fuck are they going to call to save them? They're not going to have anybody.
It's a very good point.
And it's just, it's sad.
Because a lot of the guys that were stars for them, like, recently, are in their 40s already. Like, right. AJ Styles was a main eventer, like, late in the game, typically, for most professional wrestlers. Like, he achieved the pinnacle, the greatest of heights way later. Like, I think the average age is, like, 34, 35 for, like, a world title holder in the WWE. AJ, I think, was 40 the first time he won the WWE title. Right there, that puts him 5 years behind the curve. Like, he's already said he knows that he's retiring sooner rather than later.
Oh,
like, yeah. He won't be able to do that 20-year later callback because he'll be 65. And he physically will not be able to do it. Right. No one will want to see it. Same thing with Jericho. Some of Jericho's best work before leaving the WWE has been within the past 5-10 years.
Yep.
Like, the list is classic Jericho.
Oh, all the stuff he did with Kevin Owens was amazing.
If they had if they had like a half-hour show of just Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho doing that gimmick for a half hour, I'd watch it. Wouldn't even have to match.
For sure.
It was so funny. They were comedic geniuses within wrestling.
But this is the thing that kills me, because look at it this way, okay? A lot of these guys, because I've been a wrestling fan since I was in single digits, and I got out of it for a while, and then I got back in the peak of ECW. Mm-hmm. And I've been a fan ever since, like a deep fan. And a lot of these guys like Kevin Owens, guys like Adam Cole, guys like AJ Styles, Ricochet, all these guys, I've watched them from very early on. Mm-hmm. And yet, here you are, and you have so many of these guys on a TV show, and I can't bring myself to fucking watch it.
Yeah.
As much as I followed these guys' careers, and as much as I've enjoyed these guys from when they were wrestling in little tiny fucking rooms.
Yeah.
Now you put them on TV, and I'm just so disgusted. I just can't get into it.
Yeah. And you know what? There's probably a lot of bands out there that we all feel the exact same way about. That we love them, we rode for them. We go see them wherever they were, yeah. And then they put out that one record, and we realized that they weren't for us anymore. So I mean, it's with the WWE though. It's a different thing because you're talking about childhood, right? And just growing up with an entity and it being so on the money for so long. Yeah, it had its peaks and valleys, but. At least you had an alternative at that time, because like you had the Hogan years, then you had the Austin years, right? And then for a little while, I guess depending on how you look at it, you could see Cena as that next guy. Right. I never really bought him like that. Like, I don't think Cena's a bad dude at all. I think he's very good at his job, and I can respect the work he does, as like in the charitable end of things. But
well, that's the point. He was more for the kids.
Yeah,
but
I would, Hogan was.
But I'm a heel guy, so
Same.
I always prefer the bad guys. So, like, the peak for me with Cena was when he was doing the thugonomic shit and was, like, rapping and just shitting on dudes because it was entertaining to me. But
Cena rose to the main event level when I was no longer watching. Like, I went from probably like 2002 or 3 till like probably 2010 or 11 until I started tuning in again.
Right.
So I missed a lot of those formative Cena years. I just kind of got back, and he was already the orange T-shirt guy that did 42 Make-A-Wishes on the way to the ring, like through the ramp. So, yeah, I mean, frame of reference being different, I didn't really get to know his heel stuff. I remember seeing him as like not like a jobber, but when he was still wearing the tights before he changed to the jorts.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, I got respect for the guy and his accomplishments. I thought he was the shining light in that train wreck movie that Amy Schumer was in.
Oh, I no.
I can't mess with
Amy Schumer, no.
Right,
Hard pass.
All right, so, but John Cena and also LeBron James, 12 out of 10 comedic performances from those two.
That's a high rating, bro.
If they did a movie of just those two characters, like LeBron as his LeBron character in that movie and John Cena's character in that movie, I'm there in a heartbeat. I'm there opening night. It was fucking hilarious.
I did hear the Cena thing was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But I can't. It's Amy Schumer. I can't bring myself to watch it.
Nope.
Right.
She's 100%.
And, you know, I can understand that point of view. She's, you know, not the everyone's comedian that say that Jerry Seinfeld would be. That, you know, Jerry Seinfeld. All right, here's the thing. If you put a room of 1,000 people, maybe there's like 10 or 12 people not laughing to at least one joke. There's 10 or 12 people stone-faced the whole set. The other 95% in the room are going to laugh to at least half the jokes.
Wait, for who? Jerry
for
Seinfeld?
For Seinfeld, yeah.
I guess so. I would be that stone-faced dude because
Yeah.
I don't. But I will tell you, I love comedians in cars getting coffee. I don't mind him as an interviewer.
Right.
But
Never tried it.
I cannot stand him like as a stand-up. It's fucking irritating, and his show itself is irritating. Like, I can't do it.
Right.
I won't do it.
Well, I was watching Jeselnik did an interview with somebody talking about watching Seinfeld live, right? Mm-hmm. And he was like, I went to go see him. A buddy of mine talked me into it, and he was doing all the hokey Seinfeld-y shit that you expect out of Seinfeld, right? And he's like,
right.
I was the worst. And Jeselnik was like, it was the worst thing I ever saw. Like, I don't get the hype anymore. Like, I love Seinfeld. I'm so mad after seeing this set, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, then he saw Seinfeld at Coachella, and he did not repeat a single joke. So Seinfeld has the ability to read a room, just look at the audience, and be like, this is the set I'm doing.
Right. He has to. He tailors himself to who's watching.
Right.
So I get that.
So when you see comedians in cars, you're getting a different product or a different angle of that product than you're getting from the classic, you know, what's the deal with whatever, you know, that you expect with Seinfeld.
But you have to also remember that I absolutely hated the TV show Seinfeld. Could not watch it. On the flip side, Curb Your Enthusiasm.
That's what I was saying. Yes. Okay. So you are Team Larry David.
100%.
Because George is Larry David.
Yes.
Like, he's just Larry. Like, there's interviews I've seen with Jason Alexander talking about like when he like was doing the auditions, like figuring out his character. He's like, he didn't get it at first. He didn't get why he was funny until he saw Larry David interact with other human beings for the same time. Then he's like, oh, I'm playing that guy.
I'm doing that. I don't know.
It was okay.
I don't know. None of these guys that you mentioned curse nearly enough for me to be interested in it.
That's fair. That's fair.
I will tell you that the Leon character on Curb Your Enthusiasm is like, it saved that entire show because that show was fading, and then he brought him in. JB Smooth came in, and that show has been fucking lights out since.
It's the glasses, Larry. It's the glasses.
Got to get in that ass, Larry.
Okay, now you're leading me in the right direction.
If you've never spent any time watching Curb Your Enthusiasm,
I have
do
not.
not watch the first 4.5, 5 seasons.
You won't get it. Yeah.
You won't get it. I mean, you might get it, but you will probably be like, eh. You'll be like, eh.
I mean, I feel like the show's getting better with age. Like, I think
the last season was the greatest.
All right, which was what last year?
Yeah, Mocha Joe.
I gotta catch up a little bit. I haven't.
Okay, so there's like a whole bunch of episodes, but this last
to me,
season was
one of the best episodes, maybe the best episode they've ever done, is still Palestinian Chicken.
Okay, that one's a really good one.
Conceptually, that episode is one long setup to a joke, and the punchline is the last like minute and a half tops.
Yep.
And it's just like there's a lot of micro jokes along the way, but when you get to the big payoff, it's like I'm hyperventilating.
So that's how I felt about Arrested Development as a show.
Right.
Was that it was just these little tiny micro jokes that continued to build on each other, and by the time you got to the like last episode of the first season, I was in tears. But it took me 3 times to get to the 4th episode. Like, I would watch the first 3 and everybody would tell me, yo, this show's so good, and I would keep restarting it, trying to like figure out what the fuck am I even watching. And then by the time I got to the last episode, I'm legitimately alone in my room in tears. And like, that's what I need, is like a joke to pay off in a way that I wasn't expecting it.
Right.
And that's what Curb Your Enthusiasm does, is it just continues to slowly ratchet you up the fucking hill, and then boom, you're crying.
Mm-hmm.
So, Gary, if you're going to watch it, or listeners, if you're going to watch it, start with the episode where they introduce the blacks.
Oh, yes.
So that's how we get introduced to Leon. And then if you choose to work back through the other stuff, that's fine. You'll already know most of the characters at that point. You can start from there, and it will all make sense, and you will probably cry every time Leon is on the screen.
The season before that was really good, too, but I definitely get why that, because, like, just like, and also the level of the cast they got.
Oh, yeah.
To like, pull that off is like,
the cast as a whole, like the whole time, is just amazing, including Ted Danson. Like, I didn't actually think I liked Ted Danson, but him in this show is fucking perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Richard Lewis.
Yeah.
Like, he's an annoying comedian. Like, I cannot stand him as a comedian, but as a character on this show, lights out.
I will say I'm genuinely curious now.
Yeah.
That, and I'm impressed at how we went from pro wrestling to Curb Your Enthusiasm at breakneck speed.
Yeah, we just
we were like across lanes of traffic just now.
We were like doing 70 and jumped off the exit.
I will say one more thing about pro wrestling, and you guys will probably agree with me about this, and I'm curious. The way that we were pro wrestling fans, I know, Len, you're not into it now, but when, I know you'd be down if I started talking about Dusty Rhodes or Ric Flair.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Same. That's the best shit, man.
The same way that we were fans since we were young, I don't think 20 years from now
kids are going to be that fan.
Same. Certainly not.
No.
Certainly not with the WWE stuff. Maybe with All Elite. Probably with some of the indie stuff, because some of the indie stuff right now is great. And I guess it really depends on where some of these guys go from there. Because I could see, some of these guys in AEW came straight from Game Changer Wrestling. Mm-hmm. But, it'll be interesting to see how some of those guys progress as they move up in the ranks. But
can I ask you this question?
What's that?
Do you believe that the perspective you have as an adult makes it impossible for you to understand the impact that these current wrestlers are having on kids? Do you think that you're so far jaded at this point based on your experience that you can't even understand what's going on at the younger level, where these kids are being introduced to these people from fresh and like this is all they know?
I don't know. I honestly think a lot of the younger people just aren't into it because it doesn't draw your attention the same way because it's done so poorly.
Yep. Okay.
Well, like the way we talk about like Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes, or Hogan, as much as I fucking hate him. Did I mention that I hate Hogan?
You might have mentioned it once or 5,000 times. I might have mentioned
it once, twice, or all the time.
Yeah. I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna make sure that is on your fucking tombstone, bro. Like I am coming there. I'm chiseling it myself. I fucking hate Hogan.
I'm fine with that.
Bury me on my
stomach so you can come and kiss my ass. But I just think, you know, the storytelling isn't the same, at least with WWE stuff for sure, and I just think it's not going to create the same level of fan.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, the way we talk about Dusty, the way we talk about Ric Flair, even later on, the way we could talk about CM Punk, the way we could talk about a lot of these guys that came through Ring of Honor, like Kevin Owens or you know, Sami Zayn when he was El Generico, or Adam Cole, or, you know, guys that came through New Japan, you know, AJ Styles, who's been all over the place. I just don't think that there's an interest the same way because they're just not building these people up to be at that level.
And also the landscape of pro wrestling and the delivery systems have changed so much since, you know, the the 1980s as a whole, right?
That's true.
At the beginning, in 1980, there was no such thing as pay-per-view, right? Now, that is the crux of the entire pro wrestling business on the national level, is your pay-per-view buys.
Well, hold on. Not for WWE.
Right.
Because now they've went the whole network route. But that's where I think the indies get a boost now because, like I said, I watched last weekend, you know, last couple of weekends, I watched IWA Mid-South from Indiana. I watched Game Changer Wrestling in Indiana and Jersey. They did separate shows. I watched ICW down in Jersey. And these are all pay-per-view. Like it's only like $10-15 instead of like the 40-50.
So it's more accessible monetarily. So it's more accessible monetarily.
It is accessible, yeah. And you know, for, like I said, smaller companies now, you just have to go get the app, like, you know, Fight TV or IWTV, which is independent wrestling. You just pay $10 a month and you have a ton of shit that you have access to.
Right, but it all goes back to the fact that you have a choice. Whereas back in the 80s, you watched your home territory, or you watched what was on cable if you had cable.
Right.
So the stars or whoever was available to you. So it allowed talents to develop a regional notoriety. Like Flair he didn't become the national phenomenon he did before he became the phenomenon in the Mid-Atlantic territory that he did. Right? Jim Crockett, that whole production pretty much was on the coattails of Flair and Dusty and that rivalry. And those guys didn't lock up every 30 days like the guys on WWE do now. And that's the thing. Right. That's what it comes back to. Because the pay-per-view is their revenue generator, is the fact that you're exposed to the same match over and over and over and over again. Whereas back in the day, you saw it once, maybe twice, but never in the same year, and it was a 60-minute war when you saw it.
Right.
And then you anticipated it.
The rest of it was all the promotion and anticipation generated from there. Right. The Hard Times promo is the Gettysburg Address.
It is the greatest promo of all time.
Exactly.
Hard times, baby.
And you know why? Because Dusty Rhodes didn't turn around and punch somebody in the face right afterwards to close out the episode.
Right.
He said his piece, and that's all he needed to do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, do you think that the on-screen talent isn't as talented as it once was? The charisma does not exist?
Well, here's the thing. You can only find that out if you let the talent find out they have that. And when you come to the biggest dog in the yard, the WWE, it is well documented and well recorded that Vince McMahon pretty much writes word for word scripts for promos now and hands them to people in their mid-20s.
Now, hold on. Can we go down a road for a second?
Yeah.
The physique of the current wrestler leads me to believe that they are not hiring people that are actors first. Like, not that Dusty Rhodes is an actor, or not that Rick is an actor. They got into wrestling because they were proficient at doing professional wrestling, but they already had that talent in their personalities, and I feel like they're just hiring guys that have the body at this point.
Well, some of it's case by case basis, and some of it is rooted in truth, right? It's a tough nut to crack, because I feel like with their developmental system now, you have to have some level of charisma to even get out of that, right? And if you can be given the best lines in the world, but you can have some of the best promo lines in the world written for you, but if you don't deliver them in a believable, charismatic way, you're never going to win over the audience. And that's the live audience that influences the TV audience at home, or the TV audience that becomes the live audience that buys a ticket next week when they're in town. One way or the other, you have to have that charisma for the other thing to work. But at the same time, if you're given your talent things that they would never really ever say, that's not relatable, and they can't find a strain of believability in the content they're given, what can they do? Right. You know, like, I give John Moxley now, Dean Ambrose then, credit for making that whole houseplant gimmick work. Because in retrospect, that was the best thing he was given, was a stupid fake plant to riff off of. Right. And he basically booked himself a pay-per-view off of talking to a fern. So, I mean, if you can do that, if that's all you're given, if that's the only colors you can paint with, imagine what someone can do when they have the entire art store at their disposal.
Right. Well, WWE specifically, and Len and I have talked about this because I always talk about the shows with no crowd now, but they still script them the same way. Like, you see them talk and then they pause like they're waiting for a reaction, but there's no crowd. So what the fuck are you pausing for? But it's just, at this point, they decide to script it so much that none of these guys, you know, the reason why wrestling has done so well for so long is because you had characters, but a lot of those characters worked because they were just extensions of a guy's natural personality. The Rock is just Dwayne Johnson turned up a notch. Stone Cold Steve Austin was just Steve Austin turned up a notch. Some of the best characters, Dusty Rhodes, Flair,
Jake the Snake.
Yeah.
Arn fucking
look
Anderson.
At Flair, exactly. Flair lived his fucking gimmick because everybody saw him in the fucking hotel bars every night, partying. He's paying for it now, but, you know, he lived that gimmick. And now it's like, and it's funny because with WWE now, so much of what they do now is what everybody points to that killed WCW, you know, in 99, 2000, 2001.
Well, here's the thing. I think the difference is that the content we saw on the screen in that latter era of WCW was the result of extreme disorganization. Whereas I feel a lot of what you see on WWE now is the result of gross over-organization, where there is no creative breath left to the product. It's been strangled out.
Yeah, I could see that. I think the real problem is that Vince is so hands-on with everything, and that he won't, like, he's just strangling the whole thing, because if he would let it breathe a little bit, you might actually get somewhere. And there are points when that happens and you see it show through, but in the end, he just chokes the life out of everything. And at this point, when you're trying to appeal to, like, the 12 to 17 demographic, you can't have a 70-something-year-old man running that show, because they're not gonna, they're not gonna connect. Right. Yep. But then he has a bunch of writers, and all these writers are just yes men, because in the end, Vince still controls everything.
Well, he pays the bills. So
right. But that's,
it
reminds me
of Al Davis from the Raiders, who had a bunch of great years running that franchise, and then it was just followed by decades of ineptitude.
Right.
And I feel like we're in that decades of ineptitude phase of the Al Davis, Vince McMahon.
Exactly.
So I feel
now,
like
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, because I'm getting to a point, but I want to hear what you have to say.
No, I was actually going to change the script for a second, so just finish your point.
Okay, my point, and it's a prediction, and I'm wondering, Marty, since you still pay attention to at least some of it, I'm curious what you think. My prediction is that I think Vince is eventually going to sell. And I think he's going to undercut. I think he's going to pull a total heel move, and he's going to undercut his kids. And he's going to end up, before he dies, he's going to fuck everybody and sell the company.
I can't see him doing anything other than dying at gorilla position at about 9:02 on a Monday night. I just don't see him being that guy who can let up control of a thing. Like, whether he crushes it to death on his own or not, like, he will die at the control board at a gorilla on Monday night. He'll die on Monday. I can almost call it right now. Mark it. Timestamp this.
I was
2 hours and 23 minutes in. Marty has now said.
I was more sure of that prediction a few months back than I am now, but I still think that it might happen.
I just can't see it. I mean, here's the thing. If he's selling it, I can see whoever he has the sale lined up to getting 11th houred by Tony Khan. And I think that's the last thing he wants. Because the Khans have way more money than McMahon has, and then a lot of his other buying options would have.
Well,
for that product.
I had thought that a while ago, and then there was talk early on, probably right before the pandemic started, that he was, and the pandemic may have foiled this plan. It's possible that this plan would have gone through, but there was a lot of talk that he had made a comment about possibly licensing the live programming to a bigger streaming service. And the rumor was that Amazon was going to be that service, and that would be the beginning of him eventually selling to Amazon.
I heard, if anything, around the time when the Fox Sports started to do their accessory program to WWE, like all the shit that's now canceled that he started to do right when SmackDown moved to Fox. I had heard rumors that they might get sold the Fox Sports brand, and then it would run as part of Fox Sports.
Yeah,
I heard that, but I had not heard anything about Bezos.
There were two scenarios, and I forget if it was Forbes, some big financial news site did a story about it, and I think they ran two scenarios where one was Amazon and the other was Fox. But then the pandemic hit and everything kind of changed, and now, I don't think either of those deals are on the table at the moment, and probably won't be until live crowds start coming in again.
Right. And that's the tough part about the business, is that that instantaneous feedback is gone, right? I mean, more recent examples when Tensai debuted after all that build-up over a summer, and it turned out being just Prince fucking Albert in a samurai suit, and he just got booed out of the building. wrestling needs that sometimes, and it's not
Absolutely.
just WWE thing. Like AEW, they'll need that at some point too, where just like this idea fucking stinks, and you need to know right now about it before you waste our time.
Like the librarians, you mean?
All right, so I am weirdly on board with the idea of the librarian's gimmick, just from the fact that it is so counter to what you expect out of a wrestling gimmick, right? In that you have all these other spaces to work in, right? You have also the work shoot angle of someone being stuck in a gimmick that they know is fucking stupid if it ends up being that stupid. And they're actually kind of doing that. Like, I feel like Avalon, like, knows his gimmick stupid, but like Leva Bates is like all in on it and like thinks it's like the key to her career, and there's like conflict within that. So that's the thing. The gimmick itself doesn't make or break anything. It's all about what the individual talent can do with that gimmick, right? Like Terry Tate, or not Terry Tate, it was Terry Taylor rather, not Terry Tate the All-Star, Terry Taylor. The Red Rooster gimmick, I guarantee you, if you gave Jake the Snake Roberts the Red Rooster gimmick, he would have made money with it, whereas Terry Taylor kind of gave up on it. Like, there are guys who, whatever you give them, would have made it work.
There's no way that fucking works. I'm sorry. That gimmick was dead in the water upon arrival. I don't care, like, how you pose that. The Red Rooster was just not going over.
All right, so you put Jake in the same getup with the same stupid red mohawk in the middle. He gets out to the ring and just cuts a Jake the Snake promo. Doesn't everything else, appearances don't matter. He just cut a Jake the Snake promo. I'm all in from there.
I don't know if I can agree with that, man.
I think most people would just be confused by it.
Sure, but do you think Jake the Snake Roberts would have cock-a-doodle-dooed his way down in the ring?
No, absolutely not. But there are levels to every game, and Terry Taylor did not have Jake the Snake level.
Right.
So
what I'm saying, I'm not saying
he had to do what he had to do to get paid.
I'm not saying Jake's doing the cock-a-doodle-doo shit down the ring. All I'm saying he's wearing the same jacket and has the same stupid mohawk. I feel like the rest he would have made work.
It's possible.
I don't know. I don't know. I think a lot of times guys have been bogged down with a gimmick, but some guys can work through it, like Dusty with the fucking
coconuts.
Yeah, but
I
some of them.
It made me so angry.
That's one of the reasons why I hate Vince McMahon now. Is because that was totally like him trying to sandbag Dusty Rhodes on his way into the big promotion.
Right.
And you know what? He made it work, and everybody still loves fucking Dusty Rhodes, but the polka dots were dumb as shit.
And like, I still know who Sapphire is all those years later.
Right.
Like, not only did he get himself over, he got somebody else over who I'd never seen before prior to that.
But that's the thing. Like, the truth is, I compare this a lot. I see a lot of comparison with Vince McMahon and George Lucas, and I think a lot of them flew by. I think both of them flew by the seat of their pants. And I'm a huge Star Wars fan, but you look back at it and you got to admit, George got real lucky. He did it all by the seat of his pants, and you could tell because there's the inconsistencies even in the movies. It's like, were they brother and sister? Like in the first movie, it's like you don't think he realized that yet. Right. But Vince and George Lucas both flew by the seat of their pants, got lucky, ended up having a creative spark and building something big, but then later on got to hate their fan base and actively work against their fan base, and also kind of lost that creative spark as a result.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways to look at that. I mean, one being that, like, first and foremost, George Lucas polished its herd in editing when it came to the first Star Wars film. Like, the original screening of Star Wars is on record was an absolute dud. No one thought anything would happen with it, but him and his wife went back and re-edited the fuck out of the movie and got a really good product out of it because they knew how to cut the film. George Lucas is at his best when he knew to let someone else write the screenplay. He can have the story ideas and the elements, but George Lucas apparently does not know how to write how people talk to each other. And that's why you get some of the weird dialogue from the first film, and then again in the second trilogy, in the prequel trilogy. It's like, I can't follow this shit, and I'm not interested in it because, like, I can't relate to any of this because I don't know anyone who talks like this.
Well, you're proving my point because I'm going to kick your butt. Just like you said before.
Right.
See what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, much like that. It's like Vince doesn't know how to write for people either.
No.
You know?
And like, if you're asking me, my personal preference, I greatly prefer the most recent Star Wars trilogy over the prequel trilogy. Just as far as
trouble here, you're about to get trouble here.
As far as enjoying my experience watching it, right? Does it always line up with canon? Now, his word against theirs as far as like what anymore? As far as I had a good time.
Wait.
I saw the movie.
Hold on,
Marty.
Yeah.
Your connection is funky right this second.
Yeah,
I lost
totally lost that whole
70% of what you just went on.
What I was saying was that, when Disney bought Star Wars from Lucas, what is canon, what isn't canon became a matter of argument. Like Disney said that some things are part of the official story and other things aren't, right? So maybe there are some things in the newest Star Wars trilogy that don't line up with the books I read or the comics I read, as a Star Wars fan. But did I enjoy myself at the movie theater all 3 times I went? Bet your ass I did. Now, did I, when I watch the movies again and again streaming, do I notice inconsistencies and things that are like, that's weird, after just the first initial, just like, oh, hey, new Star Wars feeling wears off? Of course, right? It's just kind of finding that balance. And also at the same time, like, it's not made for me in my mid-30s. It's not made for me. It is made for kids who buy toys or badger their parents into buying toys. It is not my franchise anymore. I either got to take it for what it is or leave it behind, one or the other. Have fun, and my view is, hey, have fun with it for whatever it is, X-Wings and TIE Fighters are still fucking cool.
Well, here's where I go on that. I had a lot of issues with the prequel trilogy. Force Awakens I did not hate, and I came to a similar realization, like what you're talking about, where this is not necessarily for me. Mm-hmm. Because I went with my kids and they enjoyed it more than I did. The Last Jedi is the biggest steaming pile of shit I have ever seen in my life, which I never thought I would say about a Star Wars movie. And to this day, I'm just so, like, eye roll about it because it was just so bad, not even just as a Star Wars movie, but just as a movie in general. There's, like, basic storytelling stuff that I learned in writing classes in high school that they completely threw out the window.
Right.
And the way I described Rise of Skywalker is it was desperate, and at this point it was like putting your favorite pet down, and it's like, okay, at least they went without any pain.
Right.
Because it was just so, like, The Last Jedi was just such in the wrong direction, and it's so bad that now there's a lot of talk that they might try to undo it because Disney is desperate now, and the whole idea of, like, the toy thing is all out the window because they didn't even bother with toys for the last movie.
Right. Well,
the other toys just sat there.
Yeah. Well, I think for me, the best Star Wars content that has come out since the original trilogy is 100% The Mandalorian.
Absolutely, without a doubt.
Mandalorian is the best Star Wars content. Maybe even it might be better than Return of the Jedi. If we're being fair, like Return of the Jedi nostalgically and for canon purposes, yes, it's important, but I feel more into and intrigued by the story of The Mandalorian than I do anything part of Return of the Jedi.
I would not immediately agree with you, but I would not disagree.
You know what I'm
I'd have to really consider that argument for a minute, but I'm not going to knock it because I think The Mandalorian was fantastic.
Yeah.
So I have not watched The Mandalorian yet. I do have access to Disney Plus, and I have it on my list of things that I plan to watch, but I just haven't found, 10 episodes worth of time to devote to it.
If you start the first episode, the rest of the time will disappear until some sort of urgent life matter will call you otherwise, such as,
coming on here to talk to you guys.
Yeah, of course.
Well, I will make it my point to go ahead and watch these episodes so that I'm not sitting here silent while you guys are talking about something that is technically near and dear to my heart, but my personal schedule has kept me from focusing and putting time towards it. So I'll do that.
I would say it's definitely worth it. And like I said, I have to really consider the Jedi argument. I will say that other than Rogue One, it is absolutely, and it's better than Rogue One, but Rogue One is
Rogue One is an amazing
pretty damn
movie.
good. But better than anything Star Wars related that has been done since the original trilogy.
Okay.
And there's so much of it, and I think part of that goes to, much like, we go, I keep comparing Vince McMahon and George Lucas, and this is another thing. Vince McMahon doesn't respect current, long-time, old-school wrestling fans. And I think one of the things that The Mandalorian really does that was missing a lot, and then they tried to squeeze it into Rise of Skywalker, was a respect for the history and respect for the fan. And I think that was really missing, especially with The Last Jedi, because there were all these story things that could have gone in different directions, and they basically just chopped them and were like, yeah, we're not doing that. And some people liked it. They were like, oh, well, it's different. And to me, I want Star Wars. It's just okay, I'm watching wrestling. I want wrestling.
Right.
It's like I say, don't give me, I don't like when they start trying to do storylines and shit talking in UFC because, you're not wrestling.
Right.
If I want to watch wrestling, I'll watch wrestling.
Now, to contrast that at the same time, I feel like the one thing that The Last Jedi tried to do, I was on board. Now, I don't say they executed it perfectly, but the fact that Star Wars is so light side, dark side, so black and white, and leaving no room for gray, the fact that Luke was in a period of doubt of everything he had believed in prior to and was just in a state of disillusionment, I feel was respectful to the viewer's intellect to know that there's nothing in life that is so absolute and black and white as the original trilogy was kind of presented to the audience. So like I said, the execution, debatable, but I feel like the intent and the idea driving that worthy of merit.
Well, I also think they explored the contrast between them with Luke's journey in the original trilogy, where he felt pulled by the dark side at times, and his father and stuff like that. So I don't think that was something that they totally left out. But I think my problem in general with a lot of what happened in The Last Jedi is that they just made it feel like nothing mattered. Like everything is a big fucking joke. And that was, part of this whole thing was the whole story of Star Wars was the gravity of the dark versus light. And you can have different points where, somebody might be tempted one way or another, but it's that classic good versus evil.
Right.
And, to me, part of my thing was that they kind of ruined it, because to me, if you had the prequel trilogy, as much as I didn't love it, the prequel trilogy to Return of the Jedi told the story of Anakin Skywalker from beginning to end.
Yeah.
So once you added those other 3 movies, it's like you already went off from what in my head the way it should be, and I tried to stay open to it. But to me, I feel like that was a better story. That would have made it make more sense, because it's like, okay, you got the Phantom Menace, which is kind of goofy in a lot of ways with Jar Jar and all that bullshit, but it's like, okay, we introduced this character to you at a young age, and you watch his journey from being an innocent kid to a trainee, and then his eventual turn to the dark side, and then at the end he redeems himself.
Mm-hmm. But also, they
introduced the idea of midichlorians,
which, when they introduced the idea of midichlorians, like I remember being in a theater and so that midichlorian count came up. I was like, no, I reject this idea that the Force is tied into some sort of chemical balance or imbalance within someone's physiology. No, that's not what I'm here for. That is, no, stop it. Like
I agree.
And I was maybe 13 or 14 when that movie came out, and I'm just like openly rejecting this principle. Just like, no, fuck that. That's not how this rolls, Lucas. Like, and here's the thing: that's George Lucas's writing. He chose that. There's no one else he can pin that dumbass idea on.
Absolutely.
And if you watch any other Star Wars canon material, whether it's the Clone Wars or Rebels, any of the animated shit, the DVD, the Lego shit, you never hear the word midichlorian come up ever again.
Because he knew that he fucked up. Because nobody went for that. But that's what I mean about Lucas losing that creative spark and just going in wrong directions, because that was a big one.
But
because
the whole foundation,
a lot of people rejected it.
Here's why it really matters, though, to me, is that you take the whole foundation of the entire story arc, the main antagonist, right? Mm-hmm. And the plot point that delivers him into the Jedi Order is complete fucking bullshit to 99% of the fan base at the time. At that point, and this affects the way I watch the original trilogy too, the character development of Anakin Skywalker is flawed the entire way. There is nothing to me that is believable about him, whether it is capturing the heart of royalty or being a brave warrior. He's a lily-livered baby the entire time in all 3 films. And when he does something good, he's a show-off prick. There is nothing redeemable that makes his fall of grace worth the viewer's time. All it is that you know it's supposed to happen, and that's it. There's nothing else about it. Hayden Christensen or the dialogue or a combination didn't get the job done.
See, but that's why the ending to me was good in Jedi, because it's like, okay, this guy finally fucking did something right. You see what I'm saying? It's like he finally did something right. He finally redeemed himself from shit choices. But as Len and I discussed recently, it's like for every good thing that you got, it manages to get undone, because it's like, okay, Attack of the Clones is the fight that everybody's been waiting for with him and Obi-Wan, and it was well done and it was great. And then what happens, Len?
They hit us with the no! And no, I was out immediately.
And everybody's just like, oh, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
I remember I went to go see that movie, The King of Prussia Mall, with my singer of the band I was at that time. And he had already seen it before, and that no happened, and like the credits had, he's like, dude, was that awesome? And I was like, that no shit. I mean, I watched Animaniacs and Pinky and the Brain and like all these stupid cartoons that would use this as a trope. Like to me, this has no weight on me at all. It's stupid, and I can totally tell that is not James Earl Jones. That is a pitch-shifted Hayden Christensen. So fuck out of here with that bullshit. Come in with the real thing, or don't do it at all. Like, they should have just... Honestly, if I were fantasy booking the ending of that movie, it should have been the last scene, should have been him looking at himself in the mirror in complete silence with the John Williams Imperial March slowly dun 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 in the background, and then directed and written by George Lucas there. That's how you
see. Stuff like that is why I think it got to that point, just like what I say about Vince McMahon. George Lucas hated that fan base.
Right.
And he had total control, so he could do whatever he wanted, and that was one of his ways of just giving everybody the finger.
Also, 50 years in filmmaking, the man never realized how to write dialogue that's believable and deliverable. Yeah. Like the ideas were great, and the ideas went on to help make the Clone Wars cool, right? Setting that stage, that Republic, that the Jedi Council, all that. Clone Wars is great. Rebels was great. I don't know if you've seen Rebels, but I enjoyed the shit out of Rebels. Again, I was like, oh, where it was a cartoon, but for what it was, I thought it was awesome.
I'm not really up on the animated stuff, and I'm regretting that because now, spoiler, some stuff from the animated series ends up in The Mandalorian. But I just, I'm going to have to go back and start watching that stuff. It's on my list now.
Yeah, highly high.
Again,
it's so good. And there's like clones in the prequel trilogies that you could tell like the guys were like friendly with. Like those characters are full-fledged ensemble characters within the story, so you get to learn the backstories of not just the Jedi but also the clones they worked the most closely with. So it just kind of gives an extra weight to when you watch Episode 3 again. There's more context.
When they turn, you feel it more. Yeah. But yeah, it's again, it's that whole idea of like. These guys create, and they're always better when they have somebody that they're working with, and then at some point they just lose that spark, and in some cases they just have a disdain for their own audience, and it just shows in the product.
Yeah.
And it's just, George Lucas was the same thing. It's like, he had to know that midi-chlorians wasn't going to go over well with the fans. And he had to know that stuff like Jar Jar people were going to reject. But he was just like, you know what? Fuck them. And that's, same thing Vince does all the time with wrestling. Mm-hmm. But now at least...
It's the same thing that Dana White does with the UFC. Exactly.
Because Dana White, I often compare Dana White to Vince McMahon also. And it's just... there's just something there. It's like these guys just have this disdain for their own fan base, and it's just bizarre.
I mean, here's the thing with the Dana White versus Vince McMahon part of that is like I agree there's a lot of parallels there, but at least Vince McMahon has the plausible deniability of putting together a performance and not a legitimate competition. You have more license to get away with more bullshit when you're creating a work of fiction rather than presenting a live, legitimate sporting event.
Half the time I feel like UFC is not even presenting me with a legitimate sporting event at this point. So I found myself on Saturday watching UFC after I got out of whatever the fuck I was doing on Saturday prior to that. I think I was in the studio, and I rushed home and I turned on the TV to try and catch the last couple fights, and I turned on to legitimately the worst fucking fight that I've seen in months.
Wow.
And it should have been what should have been a drubbing from one Chris Weidman turned into me watching him gas out 1 minute into the second round.
Really?
Get his face and body pounded on and then taken down repeatedly by somebody with far worse wrestling skills than him because he legitimately didn't have anything left in the tank. And the only thing that saved this man was the fact that the guy who was hitting him must have pillows for fists. Now don't get me wrong. He's a middleweight. He probably punches pretty hard, but if you're, a UFC fighter, you you're used to punching. So maybe this guy punching me in the mouth, it might work up against me. But I'm going to argue it might not, because I was watching those punches come in, and they definitely weren't taking the sting that they should have onto Chris Weidman. But really what I want to point out is Dana White will continue to run these people out here as long as they're asking for fights, and they don't have it. Chris Weidman, you need to retire. This is your time. The jig is up. We've seen everything that you can do, and your disillusioned statements after the fight suggesting that you're back are pure bullshit. And you
serious?
Are you on crack, bro? Like, no, you are not back.
Maybe he's on that Trapped shit, whatever the dude from Trapped is on.
But, bro, you looked absolutely terrible. You fought a dude who was number 11, and you're calling out dudes in the top 10. Honestly, you didn't barely beat this guy. The only reason you beat him is because he gassed out in the 3rd round and couldn't get out from underneath you. All you did was lay on him for fucking five minutes and pitter patter. That was legitimately the worst fight I've seen all year. And you're an ex-champion. So then I was like, all right, let me go take a look at Chris Weidman's record. I mean, I've always said that he was like the stinky towel in the fucking locker room, in the corner of the room, that you couldn't get the smell out, but you couldn't figure out what the fucking problem was. So I'm like, all right, let me look at his record and let me understand how we got to this point where he thinks he's an elite level fighter, but you know what? The math don't fucking add up. So by the time he got to the UFC, which was only in his 5th total professional fight, he's fighting Alessio Sakara, who is, for all intents and purposes, a jobber. He wins. Fine. Then he fights Jesse Bongfeld. Doesn't even have a Wikipedia page. Also a jobber. Then he fights Filthy Tom Lawler, who is now a wrestler. Jobber. Then he fights Damian Maia and wins by decision. And I remember watching that fight because it was the Evans versus Davis fight was the headlining fight. And Phil Davis is a physical specimen. Rashad Evans was at the top of his game at that time. And watching him fight Damian Maia was like watching fucking paint dry. He literally had no fucking gas tank. And you're going to hear this again and again and again as I continue through this list. Just give me a few minutes to get through this. So then he fights Mark Munoz, retires Mark Munoz, but Mark Munoz was already fucking washed up at that point. He was done. He wasn't coming back from that. So at this point, he's 9-0, but he ain't fought anybody. And they put him in there with Anderson Silva. He knocks him out. But he knocked him out because Anderson Silva was legitimately clowning on this dude, because both Anderson Silva and I know that this dude sucks.
Well,
I remember that.
Was this Silva like 72 years old at the time too, or some shit? Like, was this Silva like?
He was like 30. I think he was like 30. It was like 7 years ago, so I guess he was like 35. 30.
Okay, it wasn't okay. Got you.
And literally, Anderson Silva was clowning and got caught clowning.
He didn't take that fight seriously at all.
You're right. He was just like, I'm going to run through this guy. He can't hit me. And all he did was double up on I think it was a left hand. And most people don't double up on their punches. And he caught Silva, clipped him, and he went down. Fine. He won the fight legitimately, but it was bullshit because Silva was fucking clowning around. So then they run that fight back, half a year later. And Anderson Silva breaks his leg on a random check kick. Like, he checked the kick with his knee, and Anderson Silva's foot flips around his goddamn knee, and his leg shatters.
Oh, shit. You know what? I remember that. I remember seeing that clip on Facebook the day after.
How could you not remember that?
My bro.
By the way, Anderson Silva was 38 in that first fight.
Okay.
First fight.
So, my boys, let me say this. You did not win 2 times against Anderson Silva. You got lucky twice. Mm-hmm. So then you go on to fight Lyoto Machida, and he's washed up and old, and Vitor Belfort, and he's washed up and old, and you beat both of them. Fine. Again, you're beating up on old men.
There's no real comp there.
Yeah, so paper champ, Rock.
So now you're 13-0, and you're riding high, and then you talk your way into a fight as the champion with fucking Luke Rockhold, and he comes in and cleans your clock, and Luke Rockhold fucking sucks. Luke Rockhold has no chin.
That was the undercard of McGregor versus, not Diaz, the right before Diaz. I forget who it was.
Let me see. I don't remember who the undercard of that was. Conor McGregor versus Jose Aldo. That was that.
Okay, yeah.
He watched Aldo like 9 seconds, and Rockhold was the right before that, right?
Yeah. Yep. So it took Rockhold 4 minutes, but he put him out of that fight.
Mm-hmm.
Then his next fight is Yoel Romero, an old man, and Yoel Romero split this dude into 3 with a knee. Like, this dude was just leaking absolutely everywhere. Yep, then he fights Gegard Mousasi, who is a legit psychopath. If you catch Mousasi on the wrong day, I guarantee you're going to get buried somewhere and never found again, because he's just that cold, calculating.
They probably had to search Mousasi so he wasn't bringing any weapons to the fucking...
Very, very, very possible. Mousasi is one of my favorite fighters, but he lost to Mousasi.
I love a dirty fighter.
So now he's 13-3. He's lost 3 in a row, and he's finally fighting people that are not over the hill. So, you got a long run where you were just beating either dudes who were jobbers or dudes who weren't prepared or dudes who were over the hill. And then you finally hit the actual upper echelon of these fighters, and you go 0-3. Then you fight Kelvin Gastelum because he's coming up from welterweight because he can't make weight, and you beat him with a submission almost at the end of the goddamn fight because you suck. And then you can't beat Jacare or Dominic Reyes. I don't give a fuck what you're doing. If you're the top of the heap, you should be able to beat both of those guys, and you couldn't. And then you just struggled to beat Amari Akhmedov. Who's even heard of him? He's number 11 in the middleweight division, which is basically like being lampooned on an island in the middle of fuck all nowhere. So, for me to hear Chris Weidman say, "Hey, I'm back and I'm making another run to the title," no, you should be making a run to something else. Other sports beckon. Go do something else because you do not have it.
It's like doing a victory lap after you beat Iron Mike Sharp.
Exactly. Chill, bro. How about you just say, hey, he did say that my performance was sloppy. Yeah, bro, it was real fucking sloppy. Now, granted, I'm a fat bastard and I'm sitting in my basement armchair quarterbacking this, but I'm not the one that signed the contract to get in the fucking octagon and do this fight. If you aren't prepared or you don't think that you can do this anymore, fucking retire, because it's time.
Just step.
Speaking of being time and retiring, how about Mike fucking Tyson and Roy Jones? I will pay $50 to $100 to watch Roy Jones die at an old Mike Tyson fan any day of the week. I don't know about you guys, but
my biggest worry is which Tyson we get.
Yeah, he says.
I'm scared of that person. He said he's scared of the person that's coming to that ring. So I believe Mike Tyson because I know the danger of not believing Mike Tyson when he said he's scared of something when that thing is him.
My concern is, A, they are calling this an exhibition fight. Are there special rules that we don't know about? Are there contingencies in here that they're going to just put on a good fight because it's not an actual official for the record book fight?
Now, I'm going to answer that with a question. I don't know all the rules, but all the major governing bodies in the world of boxing, the sanctioning bodies, do they test for marijuana?
Don't know.
Because if the answer is yes, that is why it's an exhibition.
Okay. because Mike is definitely not passing a fucking test.
Oh, no.
He is not passing a test.
No way, no. But he will sell pay-per-view buys, so it's worth it.
Oh, sure.
Yep.
So my thing is, I've been watching like the little bits of footage that's being put out of Mike Tyson training, and it looks great.
Yeah.
It looks amazing. Like, he looks fast, powerful, dangerous. Mike Tyson has always been rounds 1, 2, and 3, and Roy Jones has been able to go long fights and be effective the whole time. And pretty much anytime Mike gets out of the 4th round, he looks bad.
No, because
So-
Tyson was never a dude to go long.
Right, because he was getting people out of there.
Yeah, he was just murdering dudes with a quickness. So that's part of the problem.
So that brings me to the headlining fight that I watched on Saturday, which was Derek Lewis versus Alexei Olenek. And Olenek did his goddamn best to try and get Derek Lewis to not hit him after he got clipped one time in the beginning of the round. He just kept, like, he got hit and then they clinched and then they eventually ended up on the ground, and he had Derek Lewis in some really, really tight bulldog chokes. And then, you know, Derek Lewis is a tough dude and he wasn't giving up. He had to be put out to be done. He wasn't going to tap to just a painful hold. It was going to have to go. He even got caught in an Americana right at the end of with like 10 seconds left, and he just gritted it out and didn't tap. His arm was all twisted up. I'm like, man, I would have definitely tapped. Anyway, come out in the beginning of the 2nd round, Derek Lewis throws his fucking flying knee and then just starts raining bombs on Olenek. And that's the same thing that how I feel about watching Tyson, is that you don't know what you're going to get. You might get a slow start, but if he starts throwing bombs, you are in fucking trouble.
Yeah.
So, like, that's what I'm hoping for, is that I get from Tyson what I get from Derek Lewis, which is violence personified.
That's what I'm saying. Like, we're a long way. We're many, many years removed from classic Tyson.
Mm-hmm.
So it may be too much to ask.
I mean, that was almost 30 years ago.
I know.
Classic Tyson.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, now, what are we going to get? Because I think if we don't get that quick finish, that is going to be pretty bad.
Well, here's the thing. From what I see of Tyson right now, and also what I see of Roy Jones Jr. right now, is I see someone who is way further along the fight fit stage of the game than the other is, right? And that person who is more along the fight fit end of the thing is also the most dangerous human being I've ever seen inside a boxing ring.
Right.
In their prime. So fitness and capabilities right there, I'm giving to Tyson right away. And also, Roy Jones Jr. is aware fully of who he is in the ring with. So there's the fact that you know you're in there with Tyson and don't know what you're going to get. Does that start to play? And then the psychology starts to take in. One way or the other, I don't see this being a downside for Tyson in any way, shape, or form. I think he runs away with the fight. I think Roy Jones Jr. is stupid for taking it. I think it's a bad idea for Roy Jones Jr. to even poke the bear, so to speak.
So, just looking at Roy Jones Jr.'s list of fights, I mean, the man went 49-1 until he started to lose multiple fights.
Mm-hmm.
He is a well-trained and documented boxer.
Right.
So, I'm going to say that most of the people that Tyson fought until you get to, like, the really big names, he wasn't fighting the people that even scratch at Roy Jones Jr.'s list of people that he won against, let alone lost against.
Sure.
So we all know that Roy Jones Jr. is really good at knockouts, really good at decisions as well. Like, he can go the whole 12 rounds and still be there at the end. If he can avoid the power of Tyson in rounds 1, 2, and 3, and he starts to wear out a little bit, I think the fight changes.
Well, that's also if Tyson has the same power that he used to.
The power is the last thing to go, though, so I don't think that's going to be a fucking problem at all for him. I think he's going to be throwing hard.
I hope so. I really hope so.
I mean, I'm looking at those fucking videos of him throwing, and I'm like, I would not stand in front of that right now.
No.
Like, so I saw this meme. Would you smoke crack for $1 million or $10 million or whatever?
10 million.
Yeah, $10 million. I'd smoke the crack.
100%.
I would take a fucking punch from him. For if you're giving me, all right, you can get 10 million for getting punched in the mouth by Tyson, or just smoke this one crack rock. As a straight edge dude, I'm smoking the fucking crack rock, bro, because I'm not letting him punch me.
Hand me that glass rose. Is all I'm saying. But like same thing. Like here's the thing. Like we've all, whether incidentally or purposefully, have been on the receiving end of a fist blow to the face at some point in our lives. And you know what? We all learn that it actually really hurts in the moment for like a fraction of a second. And then it just becomes warm, you know? So, but here's the thing. Do you black out before you feel the warmth or not? And that depends on the force of the striker. And from what I've seen of Mike Tyson over the years is that you get to black out before you get to my face feels warm while sitting the ground. So, like, again, training comes into play and the psychology of it. Like, I'm not saying Roy Jones Jr. made his career on a bunch of slouches. We all know that that's not true. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying is if Mike Tyson catches you on the right day at the right angle, it could kill you. And after a long, successful career, is it worth it?
I mean, maybe not. I don't know.
But here's the thing. As the viewer, I'm willing to pay $85 to find out.
Well, that's where the whole...
I'm going to tell you I'm not paying, but I'm going to watch.
I'll find... Don't trust me. I will find a way before paying for a way. Yeah. But if it comes down to it, I'm watching Mike Tyson fight. I don't care.
Well, but that goes back to what does exhibition mean? Because, like, they may be thinking, like, hey, we don't want to show Roy Jones getting murdered on live pay-per-view, so they might throw helmets on, fucking headgear on these dudes or something.
Right.
Right, yeah, I want to know what exhibition.
But then again, Mike Tyson, that just plays into his promotional advantages. Like, they're so scared of me when I'm 55 years old, and they still put gear on me like it's the Olympics. Like, that just goes right into his game, man. Like, either way, like, look at this, like, not only as someone, like, just sizing up two fighters, but as someone who has watched a lot of pro wrestling and has some level of understanding the psychology of it, is that whole promotional lead up to the fight is that no matter what you do to protect Roy Jones, all it does is put it in Mike Tyson's favor. That's all.
See, now the fight that has always floated out there that Roy Jones has been begging for years is actually a fight against Anderson Silva. That is a fight I would like to see.
Right.
Not that he wants to box Anderson Silva, not an MMA fight, just boxing. I would pay for that.
Right.
I would be willing to see that, only to see if Silva, and I expect Silva could handle himself in a straight boxing and adhere to boxing rules way better than McGregor did against Mayweather.
Yeah.
Where he was literally throwing playground punches in the first round.
Yep.
Like, I don't know what to do. I was trying to neutralize an enemy, just hammering on their back. Like, bullshit.
That whole thing was a joke.
Yeah.
Totally. I mean, it was an absolute joke. But I feel like because that happened, it may sour the grapes for someone who's trying to book another cross-discipline kind of fight like that.
See, that's my thing, too, because, like, in the end, number one, being a pro wrestling fan, my brain always goes back to the kind of carny bullshit that people would pull. But also, being a boxing fan when I was younger, a lot of those boxing promoters used to pull the same kind of carny shit.
Yeah.
So, who knows, there's a last-minute swerve that suddenly they're wearing headgear, or suddenly there's there's some other sort of rules that, won't be revealed until the last minute, and everybody gets hosed.
Teddy Long just comes down in the middle of the match. He's like, this boxing match is a tag team match against Undertaker and Kane, and it starts now. Yeah, that bullshit. Yeah,
right. But that also makes me think of, like, is this going to end up being a work so that they can book a rematch and all this bullshit? Like, they try with some of these special exhibition fights.
Right.
Like, I think that's what they were thinking about with Conor McGregor, and it didn't work out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just, I feel like boxing, as much as I appreciate it, like, I'm not a huge fan, but I appreciate it for what it is, and as an art form and as a science and all that. I just feel like its viability as a consumer product is reaching the end of its life cycle for a couple different reasons. So, to me, there's going to have to be some sort of cross-pollination between the MMA world and the traditional boxing world for those traditional boxers to, at least have a way to assert the dominance of their craft over other disciplines, given the opportunity. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's just, maybe it's just jaded by my understanding, and my takeaway of boxing is that, for what it's worth, you could be paying a whole lot of money as a fan for a whole lot of nothing. And also, it may not be on the up and up at the same time.
Exactly.
So, for me, those have been the two biggest attractors as far as following boxing more and, like, desiring to buy pay-per-views or go out to events at, like, the local Fox and Hound or Dave and Buster's or whatever. Like, it's just like, will I be compensated for the time I invest in this more so than the money?
Well, I think that was what I was getting at before, because, like I said, as a boxing fan from when I was younger, Tyson had short fights, so you knew if you were paying for it, you knew that there was a chance that you weren't going to watch more than 30 seconds.
Right.
Because he would whip a dude's ass.
But also be the coolest 30 seconds you ever saw, and there was no YouTube at the time.
That's true. But then also, over time, as boxing got more and more crooked, you'd see other fights that would go short, and you'd start to wonder if the dude took a dive. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, you know what? I'm not paying, $50 or whatever to watch this fight, because it doesn't look like it's on the up and up, just like you said.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I was, in grade school throughout the 1990s. Like, I graduated in 2000. So, like, a lot of those years of the 90s was all Don King Productions bullshit. Which was just like...
Exactly.
WCW felt more believable to me in 5th grade than whatever was going on around Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield.
Exactly.
So that's why when I saw that fight with Conor McGregor and Donald Cerrone, it didn't make me feel good. I did not leave that fight feeling good, because I felt like Cerrone might have got a couple bucks to just lay down to make sure the McGregor train started to right itself.
Right, and that was something we probably haven't seen in MMA since what, Kimbo?
Kimbo. I feel like Kimbo was given his all, so his losses were his losses.
No, but I think they paid. They were giving him a bunch of cans, and the guy that finally beat him, Petrozelli, he said it, and then he went back on it probably to try and save his career.
Well, that's Kimbo's whole career, though. Like, all of his, like, internet video fights from back in the day, did you ever once see an opponent where you thought, I don't know, Kimbo might not have this one, or do you think Kimbo's going to probably break this guy's skull in front of my face?
Well, I mean, that was the whole premise of watching a Kimbo fight on the internet, was that it was set up that he was going to fight somebody that wasn't at his skill level, we'll call it.
Right. Well, because his skill was whooping the dude's ass with his hands. Mm-hmm. Once you start trying to get him into MMA or anything like that. It was not the same game for him.
Right.
And that was the whole trick. And, listen, it killed the whole promotion.
Yep. Elite XC went out the window on him.
Exactly. Once he lost, that whole company went under. But that's what I'm talking about. That Carney stuff has been mostly kept away from MMA, but every now and again you get that feeling of like, just like the Cerrone fight you mentioned, where it's like, yeah, I don't know if this is on the up and up. Like, you get that feeling. And as older sports fans, we get that feeling because we've seen it and we've been there.
Like, we talked about the fight for a second earlier, but Aldo versus Conor, that was not bullshit. Like, he cold cocked him, he clipped him coming in. Like, right. that was not a dive. He crushed Aldo, and Aldo ain't been the same since that moment. No, definitely not. But the Cerrone thing was bullshit.
Was that the knee shot?
No, it was just a clean right hand, right down, and he caught him as he was coming in, and he went down. Now the Alvarez win was a legitimate win, but I feel like Alvarez beat himself before he even walked into the match.
Right, I can see that.
He bought that hype, and he came in too hot, and I've seen him take a beating, and I looked at that fight as his chance to be the biggest star he'd ever been if he had won, and I feel like the bright lights got him.
Yeah.
Like, I don't feel like that was a dive, but there is no reason that Conor would have gotten Cerrone out of there with a shoulder strike. I'm sorry, that's bullshit. You took a dive.
Yeah. I do not disagree with you one bit. But that's always the worry, just like when we're talking about the Tyson fight.
Yeah, we're going to see a dive?
I don't know. I hope not. But, being old fans, we always want
brand around a win or a loss either way, right?
Wait,
no promoter has their brand built upon the idea of a Tyson win or a Tyson loss, right? It doesn't matter either way, right? Whereas I feel like Dana White, playing to the dive theory, I could see him pulling somebody's side and be like, hey, you know what? Maybe it's better off for everybody long term if this fight ends up not going your way. Just food for thought, because that brand behind McGregor at that time was pulling in people who otherwise never in a million years would have bought a UFC pay-per-view or would have viewed a UFC pay-per-view. But
part of that comes down to the conversation you guys were having about not building stars and allowing people to do the things that would make them even bigger stars. The UFC has a huge problem because they are not making any stars. Mm-hmm. If you look at their roster, their three biggest stars have either moved on
to the WWE
or are sitting out because they're not being paid what they want to be paid.
Right.
So, if you're not building, you're falling.
That's why do you think Lou Thesz became the NWA champion? There wasn't enough money in legitimate competition to keep on doing it at the level he was do exhibition wrestling, as it was in the Carney days, and from there become the NWA champion. Like, it just makes sense why that happened. Is you can display the scientific wrestling moves and holds and submissions and et cetera,
right.
Not actually get injured to a debilitating degree. You'd be stupid not to take that money. Yep. So if you have the charisma to where you could cross over to the WWE or the AEW, why would you risk all of the potential hazards that come with grinding it out in a legitimate fight promotion?
Well, look at what Brock's been doing for years now.
Yeah.
Brock is getting paid a ton of money. He only has to show up a couple of times a year.
He works like 3 weeks a year in total.
Exactly.
You put the hours together. Like, I work more in a typical week than Brock works in a calendar year, and he gets paid millions.
Yeah, and on top of that, whenever it comes up, and now it's at the point now where UFC just doesn't want him anymore because he's kind of aged out at this point. But you know, for years he would play the two against each other and go with whoever threw him the most money.
Yep.
And UFC ended up doing that once, and then that only lasted a little while, and then he went back.
Then he came back for one fight.
The Marcon fight?
The Marcon fight. I mean, literally pissed through the cup and went back.
Like we didn't know that he was going to piss right through that cup?
Oh, they did.
He looked like Optimus Prime from the Transformers. I had a feeling that he wasn't an all-natural Wheaties and vitamins type of body. But I wasn't unsurprised when he pissed through the cup either, so I get where you're coming from.
Well, I mean, there was that whole thing of it was like a last-minute thing, and we made an exception. It's like, yeah, okay.
No, this dude has literal dragon's breath coming out of his dick.
Right. And meanwhile, we did it so quick that the test results didn't come back until after the fight.
The day after the fight.
Once we got all the money. But shit like that is why UFC pisses me off, because it's like you try to act like you're this clean thing and you're so full of shit.
Yep.
Stop. Like,
I mean,
we know the truth.
You know what? I am definitely on board with the just legalize steroids for athletes thing. Like, I want baseball to be entertaining again. Like, a lot of home runs and shit. It was a good time.
Well, that's why I lost interest in baseball, too, because it's like, you know what? You try so hard to act like you're squeaky clean. We know you're not. Just stop.
Even the guys who aren't, like, these days now are still pissing hot for different substances. Yeah. Like, at least, you know what? If you're gonna be dirty, be blatant about it. And let's watch a bunch of roided out maniacs try to crush a ball as far as they can across the fence.
I've said it a million times. Give me Brock Lesnar on all the juice versus John Jones on all the powder. And just let them go. Just let them go. It will guaranteed to be entertaining. John Jones' head will be in the third row.
All the brownies.
John Jones' head will be in the third row, and he'll still be talking because he won't know that his head has been separated from his body.
He's telling a chair his whole life story.
Oh, man.
So,
Gary,
Gary,
just give me that, man.
Gary.
Yes.
If you get a chance, just take a peep at the Derek Lewis Olenek fight, just to find the section in the fight where Olenek is trying to take him down and Derek Lewis legitimately throws him 6 feet across the cage. It is the funniest thing I've seen in a long time in a fight. He literally just throws him sideways and the dude just gets flung into the fucking cage. Like, legit, it's wild.
By the way, while we were talking about it, I tried to find at least highlights of the Weidman fight, and there are none.
Yeah, because it's the worst fight that's existed all year.
There's not one single highlight reel that I can find.
The highlight was that it ended. That was the highlight.
It was back in the day on SportsCenter when they would show like all the highlights of the good games, and they just show you that one game that stunk. It was like 1-0, and then they show you nothing. It was move on to basketball after that.
Yep.
So Derek Lewis is the my balls is hot guy, right?
Yeah. So he cut a great interview at the end. He cut a great at the after this fight. The mic was hot, and he had the headphones on, and you can hear him say to the person putting the headphones on, "We got to hurry this up. I got to shit."
That is the kind of guy I can get behind. Don't force it. Let these wonderful, natural moments happen over time, and you know what? You got a fan for life out of me.
Yeah,
that's all you need. Like,
they were asking him about the fight, and he's like, I'm mad that there was no crowd, because if you were really paying attention, you could hear me gurgling and crying like a little girl from this choke. And I'm like crying, listening to him tell me all the things that I would imagine I would be doing. Like, I like Derek Lewis. I feel like he's a genuine character, and I enjoy watching him knock people's blocks off at the same time.
Like, people love watching someone they can relate to triumph.
Right.
No matter what it is, when I see Derek Lewis in interviews and shit, I can see myself in a lot of the just being kind of self-deprecating, I don't kind of really give a. I'm not trying to put on a show for anybody or you specifically. I can appreciate and respect that, and that's the kind of guy I want to get behind. So that's what they got to find. They got to find these organic moments in UFC and amplify.
Whoa! Not too organic. I don't want him to pull a Tim Sylvia in the ring.
Yeah, just what, shit his pants in the ring?
Shit his pants.
Yeah, Tim Sylvia shit his pants in the fucking octagon.
Then at least you have something awesome for the bloopers, the blooper reel that you want to put up or put up for sale.
So, Gary, did you find the gif of him throwing him?
No, I caught the end of the fight. I may just have to go and download the whole fight.
Right. I think it's in the middle of the first round. Did you catch all the fucking punches in the fucking head?
Yeah, at the end, he just gets mauled.
Right. Marty, let's just understand that Derek Lewis is a dude that has to cut weight to make the 265 limit.
And I respect the fuck out of that, because we probably have similar tastes in food then.
Oh, yeah. And you have to imagine that he's holding the dude down with his left hand and raining bombs on this dude's face as it's smashed into the canvas. And you're thinking to yourself, I think he's going to die. I think he's going to die. And I'm like, when is the ref going to step in? And I'm telling you that Oleinik took probably 12 unanswered shots to the face before they stepped in and stopped this fight. And I'm like, this dude just got smoked with a knee up the gullet and then a fucking right hand from hell that put him down on his ass.
Whoa. Len. Well, I just counted 21 shots.
See, I undercounted at 12.
21 shots.
Yeah.
And it's hard to see because the camera angle at one point, the ref is kind of in the way, but you could see the arm going back and forth. And I'm pretty sure I just counted 21 shots.
A 265-pound, 6'3" or 4" man just raining shots on your head as it's trapped between the canvas and his fist.
All right, the initial shot, 1, 2, 3, 4.
We're getting the count right on the spot.
9, 10, 11, 12, 16, 17, 19, 20, 21. 21. And then even and another 1 or 2 as Herb Dean reaches in.
Unanswered, all unanswered. Just get mauled.
He's just curled up, trying to grip that leg, and he just catches one after another.
Just hellacious
21.
punches.
Herb Dean reaches in, and there's another 1 or 2.
So earlier in the fight, Oleinik was trying to get his hands around Derek Lewis's waist, and Derek Lewis grabs him by the underarm, but over the top, and by the waist, and literally just throws him off of him. And I'm like, I have never seen that before. Yeah, the dude brings me something new every fucking time.
Oh, man. Yeah, I got to get the whole fight and watch it.
So, listeners, if you want some entertainment, check out Derek Lewis. He almost always delivers.
At least he didn't deliver into his shorts that day.
Yeah. My balls was hot.
If I had Derek Lewis as a next door neighbor, he'd be my favorite neighbor on my block, 100%. He's just that kind of guy. I want to hang out with that guy. That guy. He's not the archetypal fighter and the perfect chiseled machine, but he's just the kind of guy who's I want that guy to fucking win. 100%.
Let me put it this way, and I'm going to end the whole shebang of my night of talking about anything on this. I want Derek Lewis as my neighbor because I feel like if I'm barbecuing, he's going to stop by. If somebody comes by the house and is wilding out, and I'm like, yo, Derek, he's going to come by and end that shit right off the bat. He's the dude that if I decide I'm going to the bar and he wants to roll, I know that everything's going to be all right.
Oh, yeah.
Derek Lewis is going to solve the fucking problem because he is dangerous. But he's also nice enough to be around.
Yep. Yeah, it's totally chill, but you know what? When you need somebody to do a little cleanup, there's your man. Let's clean this up. It's late.
Marty.
Yeah, 12:30 almost.
You know what? I want to give you a shout out, Marty. You were the first person that talked to us before we even started recording any of this stuff. And, you know, we're,
Yes.
I don't know, 16, 17 episodes deep in the bank at this point, and I appreciate you being a guinea pig for us at the beginning.
Man.
And, you know, coming back. And
we know redheads have a long line of being test subjects for shit, so, you know, I gotta do my duty, man.
We have no souls, so it's okay.
Fuck it. Yeah, I'm not losing anything.
I absolutely want to have you back as long as you want to come back and hang out with us.
Hey, man, always any excuse to hang, I'm down for. Any excuse.
Do me a favor, pet Ladybug for me, and high five Kate. Oh, knocked all the way out.
All the way out.
And just thank you for hanging out with us. I appreciate you.
Love you guys. Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed listening to your guys' previous episodes. I hope to not break the streak of enjoyable episodes so far. We'll let the listeners decide. But it's always great, and I love you guys. I appreciate it. Len, let's mix it up soon. We'll be talking on the messengers and the Facebooks, I'm so sure, in the next few hours or so. So.
Well, I'm gonna go to bed, so we'll do it tomorrow.
That's what I'm saying. That's a few hours from now. Only a few.
It all just rolls together.
It's fucking Groundhog Day, man. I'm wearing shorter sleeves than the first Groundhog Day. That's the only difference.
That's what it is. If I didn't change my bed sheets, I'd really be lost.
Wait, you change bed sheets?
Sometimes.
I'm kidding. I change my bed sheets. I don't change my underwear, though.
Well, at least you're not pulling a Derek Lewis then, huh?
Nah. Always.
Then you'd have to. Or you have a real problem. All right. That's it. We're done. Enough shit jokes. TheUpgradePodcast.net. Thank you, Marty.
Oh, thanks. Cheers.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys soon. Good night.
Peace, y'all.
Peace.